Although he had signed this contract because of Song's encouragement, he was also quite grateful that Song, if it wasn't for its reminder, he wouldn't have remembered that a husband and wife could have such a soul contract. Of course, not everyone had the right to sign such a contract, and even fewer people knew about it. Most importantly, not everyone had the courage to sign such an unfair soul contract. After signing the soul contract of husband and wife, he was a little regretful. Of course, he did not regret signing the unequal soul contract, but he regretted not thinking about it earlier and signing it earlier. If he had done so, wouldn't Shui have been as long ago? In reality, although Shui had always belonged to him, the two of them had never truly gotten married. Therefore, some bored people or beasts would always use this reason to provoke him. Now, with this contract, even if Shui did not give him a public identity, he was not afraid, because the two of them could not even think of separating. Thanks after the demon did such a thing, he was so proud of himself. When Song saw him like this, he couldn't help but ask, "What did you do? What did you do to my girl?" "Nothing much. I just signed a soul contract with Shui. Now, our names have been recognized by the laws of the world, so you're not allowed to say that Shui is your girl, and Shui is my girl," the demon said viciously. "A soul contract between husband and wife? When Azure heard this, he pointed at Evildoer angrily with his little claws. He was so angry that he couldn't speak. His snow-white fur had even turned pink from anger. "What about me? My relationship with Shui is now protected by the laws of heaven and earth, so whatever you say is useless," the evildoer said proudly. "What are you guys talking about? What soul contract? Why is your relationship with Shui protected by the laws of heaven and earth? Do the laws of heaven and earth still care about this?" The great elder at the side listened to their conversation and asked with a face full of question marks. Although the others didn't say anything, they were also very interested in their topic. Therefore, they all looked at them with anticipation, their faces red with the words "seeking answers" written on their faces. "The husband and wife soul contract means that my relationship with Shui as husband and wife has been acknowledged by the laws of the world. Whoever dares to break it will be punished by the laws of the world. However, everything I have will also belong to Shui. From now on, I will really be Shui gigolo." Towards the end of his sentence, the demon's tone suddenly turned bitter. Then, he glanced at Lung Ruoxue pitifully. However, Lung Ruoxue was still in a state of shock and had yet to return to her senses. Naturally, she had no way to respond to him. After the first elder and the others heard the demon's explanation, they still didn't quite understand his words. Therefore, the first elder asked shamelessly, "What do you mean by everything you have is Shui? My people, my money, they all belong to Shui. Shui will also enjoy my rights. As for Shui it would still be hers. Do you understand now?" The demon patiently explained in detail. At this moment, first elder and the others all understood. After understanding the situation, they looked at the evildoer in a different light. They did not expect him to go to such an extent for Shui. If it were any other man, he would probably not be able to give everything he had to a woman so easily, right? Even if this woman was the one he loved, it was not easy to do this. Because of this, their impression of the monster improved a lot. However, Azure was filled with jealousy and hatred towards evildoer. When Lung Ruoxue finally came back to her senses, she didn't know what to say. On the other hand, the evildoer had a pitiful look on his face as he begged for a mistress. Instantly, Lung Ruoxue was in a state of confusion. Although the evildoer liked to act coquettishly, this was the first time he had asked for a mistress. More importantly, she was speechless when faced with this man who was begging to be her mistress. Could she say that she only had pets and not men? The answer was, of course, no, because the man in front of her was not a pretty boy. This was her man, her fiancé, and a man she had signed a husband and wife contract with. However, when she heard him asking for a mistress, she felt strange. Some disharmonious images appeared in her mind. All right, she was a bit perverted, but actually, she was still very ladylike. Chapter 2299, Husband and Wife's Soul Contract. 2. As Lung Ruakshu's thoughts ran wild, she accidentally caught a glimpse of the demon's pitiful and innocent eyes, which were like those of a little rabbit. In the end, she still nodded her head kindly and said with a serious expression, "Originally, I only raise pets and not men. However, you can be an exception." And the demon nodded happily. This was exactly what he wanted to hear. If Shui liked to raise men instead of pets, he would be the one crying. The two of them seemed to have come to an agreement. The evildoer naturally pulled Lung Ruashue into his arms. Meanwhile, Song, who was so angry that his hair stood on end, ran to a corner far away in anger. What the eyes don't see, the heart doesn't feel annoyed, right? It was not willing to see that pretty boy's smug gaze. However, the thing it regretted the most was that it had provoked him with its mouth. If it hadn't mentioned the soul contract, that guy wouldn't have remembered it. Song really regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. The scene just now was just a small interlude to the first elder and the others, and it passed quickly. However, the heated discussion in the Yao family's main residence was still ongoing. Lung Ruashue and the rest then turned their attention back to the live broadcast. In the Yao family's main residence, Lung Xiaoyu had won the first round after a short exchange with the Yao family's head and the rest. The master of the Yao family and the elders of the phoenix kind and the dragon kind were so angry that they almost vomited blood. However, it wasn't over yet. It was impossible for Lung Xiaoyu to let them off so easily. If they did not press on with their victory now, when else could they? A faint smile appeared on Lung Xiaoyu's extremely handsome face. Then, his voice rang out in the living room again. "Elder Qin, don't be angry from embarrassment. I asked so many questions because I had doubts in my heart. That's why I wanted to know more. After all, even though I'm on the side of justice, I don't want to wrong a good person and let a bad person benefit. So, I do like to know why all 6 Reverend God-level beasts were killed by my Shui. Could it be that the Reverend God-level experts of your 3 clans are made of paper?" Lung Xiaoyu's question was extremely sincere. Furthermore, the anticipation on his face made one feel that if Elder Qin did not answer him properly, he would be letting him down. Unsurprisingly, Elder Qin's liver hurt from anger. Her face was flushed red from anger, and her full chest heaved up and down. For a long time, she did not say a single word. After a while, Lung Xiaoyu asked again, "Elder Qin, I'm waiting for your answer. You should answer me. Why should I answer you? Who do you think you are? How dare you ask me to answer your question?" Elder Qin's anger burned from being forced to ask this question, and he spoke with a disdainful expression. Indeed, she looked down on Lung Xiaoyu. She felt that Lung Xiaoyu was a nobody in the immortal realm and did not have much status. Hence, she was not polite when she spoke to Lung Xiaoyu. Thanks in reality, if Lung Xiaoyu was an alchemist, even if she was not famous, she might not be like this. After all, everyone in the divine world knew that no one could offend an alchemist. As for weapon masters, divine beasts of noble status like them really did not care too much about them because they did not need to refine weapons at all. The body of a beast was their best weapon. Furthermore, the more noble a beast's bloodline was, the better its talent was. Therefore, weapons were a burden to them. Therefore, they naturally wouldn't respect armament masters like humans. It was for this reason that she did not even take Mo Yin seriously, let alone his disciple. You answered me because I have a question. If you choose not to answer, then I can only assume that you're lying about Shui attacking the beasts. As for my identity, it has nothing to do with the question you're going to answer. Now is not the time to talk about status. So, Elder Qin, in order to prove that Shui has really committed a heinous crime, please cooperate. I think that's what all the major powers here are curious about. Lung Xiaoyu said with a smile. She was not angry at Elder Qin's disdainful words. What was there to argue with a beast? Wouldn't that be lowering his status? However, just because he wasn't angry didn't mean that Mo Yin wasn't angry. Without giving Elder Qin a chance to speak, Mo Yin coldly said, "Elder Qin, Xiaoyu is my disciple, so I request that you apologize to her for what you just said. Otherwise, you'll bear the consequences." You wanted to apologize? No way. Mo Yan's words made Elder Qin sneer. If you don't apologize, then you'll have to bear the consequences. Mo Yan said indifferently. What a joke. What are the consequences? Elder Qin said without a care. Jiang Ning, Xiao Yu is my disciple. Do as you see fit. Mo Yan did not even look at Elder Qin as he spoke directly to Jiang Ning, who was sitting beside him. He knew that Elder Qin had been very rude to weapon craftsmen because she thought that they had no use for them. However, what she did not know was that weapon craftsmen and alchemists had always advanced and retreated together. Otherwise, the two headquarters would not be so close to each other. The matters of the weapon craftsman's headquarters were naturally the matters of the alchemist headquarters. That was why he had directly thrown this matter to Jiang Ning. After hearing Mo Yan's words, Jiang Ning could only sigh helplessly. Then he said to Elder Qin, Elder Qin, in view of your rudeness to artifact masters, I can only announce that from now on, alchemists will no longer sell medicinal pills to your phone clan. In addition, in order to prevent you from borrowing the hands of others to buy pills, we will no longer do the pill business of the beast race. Let's do this. After saying this, Jiang Ning acted as if nothing had happened and continued to drink his tea. However, in reality, he was communicating with Mo Yan via voice transmission so that he could gain some benefits for himself. He made up an excuse that the Alchemist Guild had lost a lot of wealth after he stopped doing business with the beast race. Hence, he wanted Lung Ruoxue to compensate him. Mo Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he heard this. He was obviously after that girl Shui Er's medicinal herbs, yet he still had to find a good excuse for himself. However, Jiang Ning's words were out of his expectations. He had thought that it would be fine as long as Jiang Ning didn't do business with the Phoenix tribe. Who knew that Jiang Ning would say that he wouldn't do business with the beasts as well? He couldn't help but feel a little touched. He decided that he would put in a good word for Jiang Ning when he saw Shui Er. As such, Shui Er might even treat Jiang Ning better for his sake. In the end, Mo Yan promised Jiang Ning that he would help him. Only then did Jiang Ning reveal a satisfied smile. However, Elder Qin's expression changed drastically when he heard Jiang Ning's words. He said with a look of disbelief, Sir Jiang Ning, how could you do this? I've never been disrespectful to you. Elder Qin felt very wronged, and his voice was choked with sobs. However, Jiang Ning wasn't someone who knew how to be tender to a woman. He looked a little impatient, but he still said the truth. Don't tell me you don't know that the Alchemist Guild headquarters and the Artifact Master Guild headquarters have always worn the same pair of pants? If you don't respect blacksmiths, you're looking down on us alchemists. Why should we still do business with you? Your Phoenix kind has always looked down on humans because of your noble bloodline. But have you ever thought about whether we humans look up to you beasts? Chapter 2300, Husband and Wife's Soul Contract 3. In the eyes of us humans, you're just a bunch of beasts. How can you have a higher status than us? Otherwise, why are you the ones who have been contracted by humans? Why have I never heard of any humans being contracted by you? Originally, I'm very friendly to the beast clan and have never meant to belittle any beast. Those who know me know that I'm a person who can clearly distinguish between kindness and hatred. But today you've made me angry. Therefore, I can only give him a taste of his own medicine. Jiang Ning didn't even spare a glance at the tear-stained Elder Qin as he continued speaking. Jiang Ning's words made Elder Qin feel even more wronged. How could she have known that the Alchemist Guild headquarters and the Weapon Master Guild headquarters had such a relationship? If she had known earlier, she wouldn't have been so rude to Mo Yan and Lung Xiaoyu. Moreover, she had long heard that Jiang Ning was a man of his word and knew that he wouldn't change his mind once he said something. As a result, she was filled with regret. The words that he had wanted to plead with Jiang Ning for were now stuck in his throat. As for the other three elders of the beast race, although they were very angry after hearing Jiang Ning's beast theory, they didn't know what to say. It seemed like they were in a deadlock. No one had expected that Jiang Ning would be so angry because of Elder Qin's rudeness towards Mo Yan and his disciple. He also didn't expect that Jiang Ning would stand up for Mo Yan and his disciple. However, since things had already come to this, was there any room for redemption? If they really lost their supply of pills in the future, it would definitely be a disaster for the beast race. The more the three of them thought about it, the more afraid they became. Their faces also gradually turned pale. Just as they were racking their brains to change Jiang Ning's mind, the people present began to respect Mo Yin and Lung Xiaoyu even more after hearing Jiang Ning's words. They were very respectful to Mo Yin. Unlike the beasts, humans could not offend weapon masters without restraint. To them, they could not offend either a pill master or a weapon master easily. Otherwise, an expert without a weapon was like a tiger without its teeth, its offensive power greatly reduced. And now, an alchemist and a blacksmith were wearing the same pants, so it was even more impossible to provoke them. With this thought in mind, everyone secretly vowed in their hearts that they would rather suffer losses than offend alchemists and blacksmiths with powerful backers. Otherwise, if they were to really bear the consequences, it would definitely be life-threatening. Look, wasn't that overbearing and arrogant Elder Qin wilting like a frost-beaten eggplant? They didn't want to end up like Elder Qin. If the Alchemist Guild headquarters really cut off their pills, it would be fatal to anyone. Furthermore, after this incident, everyone understood that Jiang Ning would immediately stand up for Mo Yin because of what he said. Lung Xiaoyu was Mo Yan's beloved disciple, so the reason why Mo Yin asked Jiang Ning to stand up for Lung Xiaoyu was also because of her. Therefore, they took Lung Xiaoyu's words more seriously. But now, the most confusing thing for everyone was the relationship between Lung Xiaoyu and Lung Ruoxue. It was undeniable that after what had happened, the major power's desire to get involved in Lung Ruoxue's matter had lessened. At this moment, everyone's thoughts were to try their best to form a good relationship with Lung Xiaoyu, who asked her to have such a powerful master. As such, they naturally couldn't do anything to Lung Ruoxue. Otherwise, if Jiang Ning stood up for her and cut off their supply of pills in a fit of anger, where would they go to cry? With this thought in mind, the crowd found Lung Xiaoyu more and more pleasing to the eye. As for his question, someone immediately echoed, "Elder Qin, Her Excellency, Lung Xiaoyu's words make sense. You'd better explain to us. Why were the 6 reverent god-level cultivators from your 3 clans injured by Lung Ruoxue? Could it be that the reverent god-level experts of your 3 clans are really made of paper?" Hearing this, Lung Xiaoyu laughed in her heart. However, she also knew that this was definitely the result of what her master and Jiang Ning had done. Otherwise, these people would not have cooperated with her so well. But no matter what, it was enough that the result was good. At this time, the master of the Ning family, who had been silent the whole time, also opened his mouth and said, "The beast race must give us a reasonable explanation for this matter. My daughter cannot be defamed by others for no reason. I understand that little girl Shui, she would never take the initiative to attack the beast race. If there was such a thing, it must be that your beast race had done something shameful and that little girl was only acting in self-defense." The head of the Chung family agreed with a look of understanding. Thanks. As soon as he finished speaking, the master of the Ning family gave him an appreciative look, as if saying, "You've found the truth. I also believe in that girl. She won't take the initiative to attack the Beast clan." The master of the Yin family also expressed his opinion in time. He did not want old man Chung to be the only one to benefit from it. After all, he and Lung Ruoxue had a deep relationship. Hearing their words, the 4 clan heads of the Yu, Qi, Lu, and Fan clans also expressed their doubts about the truth of the bounty. They requested the Beast clan to provide reasonable evidence, and even said that they could not convict Lung Ruoxue based on their one-sided statements. He also said that he should give Lung Ruoxue a chance to defend herself. 7 of the patriarchs from the 8 great divine domains had expressed their views on Lung Ruoxue's matter. Naturally, the various great factions were not to be outdone and had made the same request. In this way, the crimes that the Yao family head had previously reported regarding Lung Ruoxue had naturally become decorations due to the lack of evidence. With regards to this, the Yao family head could not help but feel angry from embarrassment. Damn it, This bunch of people who sailed with the wind. Why didn't they ask him to show evidence when he started to say it? As for the evidence, he really did not prepare it. After all, he felt that it was already known to everyone, so there was no need for evidence. However, now, if he did not produce real evidence, these people would not let it go at all. He thought that all of this was caused by Lung Xiaoyu and the master of the Ning family. This was really infuriating. The more the head of the Yao family thought about it, the angrier he became. He couldn't help but shout, "Do you really think that the Divine Master's estate and the magical beasts would lie? This kind of thing can be said casually? The Beast clan was attacked by a little girl. Do you think it's a glorious thing? If it wasn't true, why would they bring it up? Therefore, you must not be easily incited by others, and don't be used by those with ulterior motives. This matter is absolutely true. Is it true? Yao family head, did you see it with your own eyes?" The master of the Ning family glanced at the master of the Yao family and said faintly. Then, without giving the head of the Yao family a chance to answer, he continued to say, "I don't know if the Divine Master's estate and the magical beasts are lying, but I'm sure of one thing, and that is that everything has to be supported by evidence. If you say that Shui attacked the magical beasts without any evidence, then you're falsely accusing Shui. You're purposely smearing Shui's name. We're not fools, so don't try to fool us with a few words. If you want us to acknowledge that Shui really did it, then show us enough convincing evidence." The master of the Ning family said again, and put on a posture that if you don't show evidence, you won't be finished. "That's right. The beast race must produce evidence," Lung Xiaoyu said with a determined look. The three beast elders' faces alternated between red and white upon hearing this. On the other hand, Elder Qin had been in a state of shock because of Jiang Ning's words. Right now, her mind wasn't on this matter at all. She was still thinking about how alchemists would always refuse to sell beast race medicinal pills. The only three beast elders who were still conscious wore constipated expressions on their faces, and their faces quickly turned as black as ink. It was their fault for not knowing how to answer the other party's question. Where would they have the evidence? After a long while, another Feng clan elder finally spoke with a reluctant expression. "This is a secret of the Beast clan. It's not convenient to disclose it." In fact, she didn't want to say this at all. But if she didn't say anything, the two elders of the Dragon tribe said that she couldn't return to the Phoenix tribe safely. Being threatened by the two dragons like this, she was embarrassed and angry, but she had a compromise. Who asked her to be unable to defeat the two dragons? Secret? Not convenient to disclose? Do you beasts want to get rid of us like this? If you can't produce enough evidence, then I can only assume that you've maligned Shui on purpose. The master of the Ning family said calmly after hearing the words of an elder of the Feng clan. Didn't Elder Qin say that two of our Phoenix clan's elders are still unconscious? This isn't evidence? An elder of the Phoenix tribe said angrily, "An elder of your Phoenix clan is unconscious, but that doesn't mean it was Shui who did it, right? Who knows why they fell unconscious? What if it's an internal battle between your clansmen?" The master of the Ning family argued with a smile. In fact, he had long wanted to find a chance to refute the rumors that Shui had attacked the beasts. It was just that he had never had a suitable opportunity. Otherwise, he would not have endured it until now. It was better not to say these words now. This opportunity was given to him by Old Man Yao. Old Man Yao had not achieved his goal, so he would probably be so depressed that he would vomit blood. However, he didn't sympathize with him. He's not a good-hearted person. He deserved it. Chapter 2301. Breaking News 1. Master Ning, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Everyone knows that our Feng clan is famous for being united. How can we kill each other? Hearing the master of the Ning family's words, an elder of the Phoenix clan was so angry that her face turned red. Her originally beautiful face was somewhat distorted. If it weren't for the other party's identity, she would have attacked him long ago. She couldn't understand how the master of the Ning family, who was a respected figure in the divine realm, could say such irresponsible words. If word of this got out, it would definitely affect the reputation of the Phoenix clan badly. Therefore, as a member of the Phoenix clan who was loyal to her, she would never allow such a thing to happen. However, when a master of the Ning family heard the words of this elder of the Phoenix tribe, he couldn't help but smile. Oh, really? Was the Phoenix clan very united? Then, how do you explain what happened to the Phoenix kind 100,000 years ago? What is it? A certain elder of the Phoenix tribe asked in a daze. What, you don't know? That's right, you're too young. You were probably still wearing open-crotch pants hundreds of thousands of years ago. Besides, you don't have a high status in the Phoenix clan, so I'm afraid you won't have the chance to know about such confidential matters. The master of the Ning family smiled and said to himself, You better explain yourself clearly? Is there anything that I don't know about the Phone clan's secret? Master Ning's words made the Phoenix quite angry. As the saying goes, you can lose people, but not your face. Therefore, she must let the old man of the Ning family explain clearly. Otherwise, she would not let him off. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, a rebellion occurred in the Phoenix kind, and the Phoenix King was sealed. The current king of the Phoenix kind took the opportunity to ascend the throne. I don't think the current queen of your Phoenix clan would reveal such a thing for no reason, because she's that traitor. Such a disgraceful thing. Of course, the less people know, the better. Don't tell me that you know. The master of the Ning family said calmly. Everyone was shocked by his words. This was definitely a top secret. If these words had not come from Master Ning's mouth, but were said by someone else, they would never have believed it. Moreover, the status of the master of the Ning family was there for all to see, so they believed that the master of the Ning family would definitely not make irresponsible remarks. Therefore, this matter was most likely true. Everyone's expression changed drastically upon hearing this, and a certain Phoenix's expression did not look any better. She was shocked and dazed by Master Ning's words. In fact, Master Ning was right. She was indeed young and had been an elder of the Phone clan for less than 10,000 years. However, she had heard of what Master Ning said in the Phone clan. However, many rumors had basically come from outside the clan. Therefore, no one in the younger generation of the Phone clan took it seriously. Although the Phoenix clan was not as united as she had claimed, at least they would not kill each other. To the outside world, they were known for being united. The younger generation even regarded the current Phoenix King as their idol. Therefore, the younger generation of the Phoenix clan would rarely believe that the current Phoenix King's throne was obtained through rebellion. Of course, there were people in the Phoenix clan who knew about it, but most of them were the trusted aides of the Phoenix King. Or it could be said that the people who knew about it were basically involved in the incident that year. These people would naturally not bring up the disgraceful things of that year to educate their descendants. Even if there were descendants who could remember and knew some of the situation at that time, they would still be ordered to keep their mouths shut. Therefore, it wasn't strange that she, the young Phoenix, didn't know much about this. However, when she heard these words, the Phoenix could not accept it for a moment. She had always loved the Phoenix King and was a loyal supporter of the current Phoenix King. Therefore, she was absolutely unwilling to admit that the king she had wholeheartedly supported was not the legitimate king of the Phoenix clan. At the thought of this, the Phoenix suddenly flew into a rage and roared fiercely. You're talking nonsense. Don't you dare sully the reputation of our clan's king. Otherwise, our Phoenix clan will never let you off. Your Nings will be the biggest enemy of our clan. Hearing this threat, the master of the Ning family didn't take it to heart, because he knew that Shui and the current king of the Phoenix clan would never be allies. In that case, why should he be afraid of offending the Phoenix clan? Naturally, he would not care about the threat of a little phoenix. The Phoenix clan, even if they became his enemies, he would not be afraid. After all, the Phoenix clan was no longer the same as before. In the past, the previous Phoenix King was a very romantic figure. Who knew that he would be harmed by a villain? That was why he was still sealed up until now. Ever since the Phoenix clan changed its king, the Phoenix clan began to decline. There were constant internal conflicts in the Phoenix clan. Of course, the people of the Phoenix clan would never be willing to talk about such things. Therefore, he was too lazy to refute this stubborn little phoenix. Other than that, it wasn't just the phoenix kind that was in such a situation. The dragon kind and the white tiger kind weren't much stronger than the phoenix kind either. At the thought of this, the master of the Ning family ignored the phoenix's threat and turned his eyes to the two dragon elders who were pretending to be mute. He said with a smile, "Two elders, do you know how the current dragon emperor of your dragon clan got his throne?" When the crowd heard the master of the Ning family ask about the elders of the dragon clan again, their hearts trembled again before they could recover from their shock. Because of the master of the Ning family's words, they all turned their eyes to the two embarrassed elders of the dragon clan. The two dragon tribe elders were infuriated upon seeing this. Fuck, were they getting shot while lying down? Seeing that the situation wasn't right, they had already kept a low profile, but why were they still targeted by the master of the Ning family? When they heard the questions that the master of the Ning family asked them, they felt as if they had swallowed a dead fly. No matter how they answered, it was not right. It was as if they had jumped into the trap that the master of the Ning family had set. This fact made them extremely depressed. Helplessly, the two of them couldn't help but turn their gazes to the head of the Yao family to seek his help. Seeing this, the head of the Yao family could only brace himself and say, "Master Ning, how could we discuss the affair of Dragon Emperor in the public? If the Dragon Emperor were to find out about this, wouldn't he think that our human race is uneducated?" Yao family head, this has nothing to do with upbringing. As a person of the divine realm, we naturally have the right to know about the major events in the divine realm. Especially when these major events have affected us. We should know even more, shouldn't we? Hearing Master Yao's words, Master Ning smiled. But how did the Dragon Emperor get his throne? That's his own business. How did it affect us? The head of the Yao clan asked with a puzzled expression. It's affecting our safety. If the Dragon Emperor and the Phoenix King's rights are not obtained through proper means, the divine realm will definitely not be at peace. Once the divine realm is at peace, our human race will naturally be implicated. That's why I said that our human race has the right to know about this. Don't you think so? The master of the Ning family spoke earnestly, and as he spoke, he turned his gaze to the people present. Of course, his last question was also directed at them. Chapter 2302 Breaking News 2. Everyone nodded in agreement. Then, they looked at the two dragon tribe elders expectantly and humbly. At this time, the master of the Ning family said with regret, "It's a pity that those two elders of the white tiger race aren't here. Otherwise, we should ask them too. The situation of your three races is the same." The crowd was shocked again. The eyes that were looking at the two dragon tribe elders were burning with passion. Under the pressure of everyone's gazes, the two dragon tribe elders could only say helplessly, "We're not too sure about such confidential information." They really didn't know, so they naturally didn't know how to answer this hot question. In an instant, cold sweat flowed down their foreheads, and they were at a loss. The two of them even suspected that they had come to the wrong place. Otherwise, why would he be talking about the beast race when he was clearly here for Lung Ruoxu's matter? They had not been able to gain any advantage from Lung Xiaoyu, and now, with Master Ning's overbearing attitude, they felt even more pressured. At the thought of this, cold sweat began to drip down their bodies. At this moment, they really wanted to run away, and they couldn't sit still anymore. They were afraid that Master Ning would say something shocking again. At that time, the prestige of their dragon clan would be almost destroyed. However, even if they wanted to escape, could they? The master of the Ning family could see that the two elders of the dragon clan were sitting on pins and needles. So he continued sternly, "It's normal that you don't know. After all, you're still young. However, I don't believe that you guys didn't hear anything about it. So, don't play dumb with us. Tell us what you know. Otherwise, I won't allow you to leave." His words were a little rascally, and the two dragon elders' faces flushed red with anger. They moved their lips, but did not say a word. What could they say? Say that they've heard the news? No matter what rumors they had heard, those were the internal secrets of the dragon clan. How could he tell others? Moreover, the younger generation of the current dragon clan had almost been brainwashed. They only knew about the wise leadership of the current Dragon Emperor. As for the previous Dragon Emperor, who would care? This was the so-called every emperor changes his courtiers. They were all subordinates of the current Dragon Emperor and were promoted by the current Dragon Emperor. Naturally, they would side with the current Dragon Emperor. Who would still remember the previous Dragon Emperor? Of course, there were some who had an impression, but those who had an impression were basically no longer in the Dragon Clan. Those who were still in the clan would probably not mention this matter. Therefore, it was a little difficult for the two young elders to ask about the secrets of the current Dragon Emperor. But the master of the Ning family didn't care about that, since they were standing on the side of the Yao family's old man. If he was kind enough to let them go, wouldn't that be letting a tiger return to the mountain? He would not do such a stupid thing. The master of the Ning family put on an expression of waiting for the other party's answer. In order to show his closeness to them, he even moved his position to their side and stared at them without turning his eyes, seemingly deeply in love. The two dragon elders felt their bodies burning under the unusual gaze of the master of the Ning family, especially their pale faces, which were burning hot. Master Ning, the two elders don't know, so why do you have to be so aggressive and force them to say it? Aren't you making things difficult for me? Seeing this, the head of the Yao family said indignantly, "If you don't want them to say it, why don't you say it?" Hearing this, the master of the Ning family laughed. "Thanks, what did I say? How would I know about the matters of the Beast clan?" Hearing these words, the head of the Yao family was so angry that his entire body trembled as he hurriedly replied, "Since you don't know, then don't interrupt." The Ning family head's face was full of disapproval and even disdain. When the Yao family head heard this, he was even more angry. "Good, I won't interrupt, but when you've offended all the beasts, don't come to me and ask for my help." The head of the Yao clan snorted and immediately shut his mouth, preparing to watch a good show. The master of the Ning family was very satisfied when he saw that the old man of the Yao family had quieted down. Then, he turned his eyes to the two panicking elders of the dragon tribe. Of course, he didn't forget the two elders of the Phoenix tribe. He smiled at the four of them and said, "It doesn't matter if you don't know. Send a message back to the clan and ask around. We'll be waiting for you." When the two dragons and the phoenix, who were still clear-headed, heard this, they were completely depressed. At this moment, the dazed Elder Qin also came back to his senses. Hearing this, he asked with a puzzled expression, "Why are you waiting for us?" However, she didn't give Master Ning a chance to answer. She quickly turned her eyes to Jiang Ning and begged with tears in her eyes, "Sir Jiang Ning, our beast race and your alchemist guild's headquarters have always had a pleasant cooperation. So you can't do this? Please take back what you just said." Elder Qin's words were full of hidden bitterness, but everyone who heard them couldn't help but think to themselves that Elder Qin's reflex arc was really long enough. It actually took her so long to react. However, the current Jiang Ning obviously couldn't be bothered to pay any more attention to Elder Qin, because she only cared about drinking tea and didn't even raise her head. Seeing this, the master of the Ning family was kind and kindly reminded, "Elder Qin, we're not talking about that right now, so don't go off topic." Then what are you talking about now?" Elder Qin asked unwillingly. After being provoked by Jiang Ning, her temper had instantly subsided. Therefore, even though she was angry, she still asked in a very polite manner, "We're talking about the secret of the dragon kind and the phoenix kind. You probably don't know." The master of the Ning family laughed evilly. "What a joke. What secrets do the dragon kind and the phoenix kind have that I don't know?" Hearing this, Elder Qin immediately replied reflexively. Her answer made the two dragons and the phoenix, who had been silent, look even more terrible. Idiot. One idiot. The three of them were exasperated. A certain phoenix received the looks from the two dragon tribe elders and was about to stop Elder Qin from speaking nonsense. However, she suddenly realized that she could not speak. Immediately, her beautiful face showed a look of panic. When the two dragon tribe elders saw this, they thought that she was unwilling to speak. Therefore, they glared at her even more fiercely. On the other hand, a certain phoenix was in a difficult position to speak. She wanted to send a message to the two of them, but she found that she couldn't use her divine power to send a message. This fact made her even more panicked. The little tricks of the three of them naturally couldn't be hidden from the master of the Ning family, who was very close to them. Although he didn't know what the three of them were doing, seeing that they didn't say anything, the master of the Ning family was relieved. Then, the master of the Ning family asked, "Then tell me, how did your current Phoenix King and their Dragon Emperor get their thrones?" Chapter 23:03 Breaking the News 3 When Elder Qin heard this question, she was dumbfounded. Never in her dreams did she expect that she would have to answer this kind of question. How was she supposed to answer? Elder Qin didn't know what to do, and her originally beautiful face was now filled with conflict. Seeing this, the master of the Ning family could only remind him, "Elder Qin, you said that there's no secret of the Dragon and Phoenix clans that you don't know. We only want to know this right now, so tell us." How can I tell you this kind of thing? This is a secret between the Phoenix kind and the Dragon kind." For Elder Qin to say this, it was enough to prove that she wasn't stupid and hadn't completely lost her mind to be led by the nose by the Ning family master. When the two dragons and the Phoenix heard this, they all immediately let out a sigh of relief. Hearing Elder Qin say this, the Ning family's master still didn't give up and asked, "Elder Qin, is it because you don't know or you really can't say?" "Of course I can't tell you." Elder Qin was very certain. Did he really think she was stupid? He knew how to say anything. "Elder Qin, I also want to know. If you tell me, he'll take back what I said. How about it?" At this time, Jiang Ning suddenly raised his head and interrupted with a look that seemed to want the world to be in chaos. When the crowd heard what Jiang Ning said, they started to sympathize with Elder Qin. It wasn't easy for this Phoenix either, because no matter what she chose, it would not end well. However, the head of the Ning family, who had also heard this, was extremely happy. He and Jiang Ning even exchanged a tacit look. Then, he sat quietly in his seat and waited for Elder Qin to make a wise choice. At this moment, Elder Qin was both angry and furious. Her face was no longer as pitiful as it was when she was begging Jiang Ning. In her heart, she was cursing Jiang Ning and the head of the Ning family. However, she didn't say anything for a long time. Seeing her like this, the head of the Ning family and Jiang Ning didn't rush her. At this moment, the head of the Yao family suddenly stood up from his seat and said to the people present with a serious expression, "Everyone, this old man has a few words to say to you." "Please speak, Yao family head." Someone gave him face and immediately said. When the head of the Yao family heard this, he nodded in satisfaction at the person who had spoken. Then, his expression turned serious, and he said, "Everyone, have you forgotten the reason why we gathered here? We're here to discuss Lung Ruox's matter. Right now, we haven't even reached a conclusion regarding Lung Ruox's matter. Why are we all shifting the topic to the Phoenix and Dragon clans? Discussing the matter between the Dragon kind and the Phoenix kind in public. If the Dragon Emperor and the Phoenix King found out about this, have you ever thought about the consequences? So, I hope everyone can get back to the point. It's best if we humans don't get involved in the matters of the beast race. Otherwise, it'll only deepen the conflict between us and the beast race. It won't be good for either of us, don't you think so? Of course it's wrong. If the magical beasts don't get along and the divine realm is in chaos, do you think we humans can stay out of it? After hearing Master Yao's words, Master Ning sneered. Besides, we're not trying to eavesdrop on the secrets of the dragon kind and the phoenix kind right now. Aren't we just discussing my daughter's matter? It's the dragon clan and the phoenix clan who said that some of their elders were injured by Shui and have fallen unconscious, but they can't produce any evidence to prove the truth. A certain elder of the Phoenix clan also said that the magical beasts are very united. That's why I can't help but want to ask about what happened hundreds of thousands of years ago. The master of the Ning family continued. Yao family head, although we were still very young several 100,000 years ago, I believe that you definitely won't forget what happened back then. Our 8 divine domains only started developing at that time. If it weren't for the events that happened hundreds of thousands of years ago, we would probably be some unrated clans by now. How could we possibly grow into a top power? So, don't forget your roots. After turning his gaze to the head of the Yao family, the head of the Ning family reminded him with a heavy heart. Upon hearing his words, the Yao family head's face turned ashen. However, Master Ning still didn't give Master Yao a chance to speak and continued. If I'm not mistaken, the incident started with the magical beasts and eventually spread to the human race. Therefore, I feel that as a member of the divine realm, every one of us has the duty to know the truth. Thus, I request the kings of the Phoenix Clan, Dragon Clan, and White Tiger Clan to give a reasonable explanation for what happened all those years ago. Of course, the God Lord's estate should also give us, the people of the divine realm, an explanation. As he spoke, the master of the Ning family turned his gaze to Huang Wei and Xia Yi, who had been silent the whole time. When the two of them saw this, they knew that they could no longer keep their eyes closed. They could only helplessly say, "Why should the divine master's estate give an explanation for the matter of the beasts?" Although it was the beast clan's matter in the beginning, the divine master's estate was the mastermind behind it. So, do you think that the divine master's estate should give us, the people of the divine world, an explanation? Master Ning said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Huang Wei and Xia Yi were both a little angry. Xia Yi was so angry that he pointed directly at the master of the Ning family and roared in anger, "Master Ning, I respect that you are a man of status and position in the divinity. You are an indomitable figure. How could you say such irresponsible words? Although Master Yu has already fallen, I will not allow you to slander him like this." "Thanks, Master Yu." "Sir Xia Yi, I can't believe you still remember Master Yu." The master of the Ning family sighed. "What do you mean by this? Master Yu is a legend in the divine realm. No one will forget him." Xia Yi could not help but ask after hearing Master Ning's words. "You're right. Master Yu is the most respected divine master in the divine realm. Of course, he can't be the mastermind behind the Beast Clan's affairs. I'm talking about someone else." The master of the Ning family said with a sigh. "Someone else? Who are you referring to?" Xia Yi was a little suspicious. He could not help but wonder in his heart, could there be some inside story about what happened back then? When Master Yu had passed away, he was about the same age as the head of the Ning family and was not very powerful, so he had little access to confidential matters. So, other than knowing that Master Yu had passed away, he had never known how Master Yu had died. After becoming the Divine Lord's imperial hierarch, he had secretly investigated this matter but had found nothing. All the old men in the Divine Lord's estate had been replaced. At that time, the Divine Lord's estate was filled with new people like him. He had not been able to find out anything from them. Moreover, the matter of Lord Yu was considered taboo in the Divine Lord's estate. The reason was, of course, that they were afraid that Divine Lord Fog Ripple would recall the past. Thus, no one dared to mention the name Lord Yu. However, after hearing the words of the Ning clan's master, Xia Yi's suspicions deepened. When the others heard that the master of the Ning family seemed to be going to reveal something again, they quickly perked up their ears, their eyes shining, and looked at him with anticipation. Receiving everyone's gazes, Master Ning deliberately paused, and then said, "At that time, the person behind the rebellion of the Dragon Clan, Phoenix Clan, and White Tiger Clan was precisely the current divine master of our divine realm, Lord Rhyme. Sir, you also died in the hands of Wu Yan." The master of the Ning family glanced at the bewildered Xia Yi and added, "This is impossible." After Xia Yi heard this, although his expression changed drastically, he still couldn't help but retort. When everyone heard Master Ning's big news, their faces were also ugly. Many people even regretted their curiosity. Let's not talk about whether it was true or not. After hearing this, it was impossible for them to keep themselves away from the world and clear their names. Moreover, it was related to the mystery of the death of the previous Divine Master and the innocence of the current Divine Master. No matter how they thought about it, they felt that the matter was a little serious. This information was indeed explosive, but it was too big, and it wasn't something they could bear. Everyone was so regretful that their intestines turned green. But now, It was too late for them to pretend that they didn't know anything. At this time, the head of the Yao family also felt that the matter seemed to be out of control. If Lady Wuchen heard of this matter, their Yao family would be implicated. The head of the Yao family had a terrible headache, but he had no choice but to say, "Master Ning, you can't just say things without evidence. Everyone knows that Lady Wuli and Lord Yu are as close as brother and sister. How could Lady Wuli kill Lord Yu? Moreover, with the strength of Lord Wuchen back then, it was impossible for him to be Lord Yes' opponent. So, please don't harm us. We don't know anything. Right? Right? We don't know anything. Master Ning, well, pretend you never said that. We all have our elders and children to take care of. We can't bear the anger of Lord Wuchen." As soon as the head of the Yao clan finished speaking, someone immediately chimed in, and some even wanted to take their leave. However, the person who was about to leave was blocked the moment he reached the living room. The few people who were blocked looked dazedly at the woman in front of them, who was smiling brightly and had devastatingly beautiful looks. 3 words immediately appeared in their hearts: Lung Ruoxue. Oh my God! It was Lung Ruoxue. It wasn't confirmed. It was her. Although they had never seen her in person, they had seen her image before, so they naturally recognized her. But why was she here? This was the Yao family. She actually dared to come here? Wasn't he a little too bold? Chapter 2304 Prologue of the Counterattack 1. When the crowd saw Lung Ruoxue, it was as if they had seen a ghost. They never thought that Lung Ruoxue would dare to appear in the Yao family. Was Lung Ruoxue not afraid that they would join forces to capture her and hand her over to the Divine Master's residence for the reward? One had to know that they were here to discuss how to deal with Lung Ruoxue. Even though they did not come to a conclusion from their discussion and were scared away by Master Ning's big news, they suddenly felt guilty when they saw Lung Ruoxue in person before they left. Looking at the smiling Lung Ruoxue, everyone laughed awkwardly. Then, they all lowered their heads in unison, trying to pretend that they did not see Lung Ruoxue's face. However, Lung Ruoxue would not pretend that she did not know these people. Through the live broadcast, she had long gained a deep understanding of the various major factions. Since she was here now, she naturally could not let these people leave so easily. At the thought of this, the smile on Lung Ruoxue's face grew wider. She said softly, "Everyone, are you leaving so quickly?" That's right. There's still something at home waiting for us to go back." Everyone bit the bullet and said in unison. After saying this, most of their faces were boiling hot, as if they were on fire. However, Lung Ruoxue was unmoved. Instead, she smiled and said, "No matter what you want to say, you can only leave after I've finished what I want to say." When everyone heard this, their faces immediately turned ugly, and they wailed in their hearts. What the hell is this? They did not want to find trouble with Lung Ruoxue, but who knew that she would not let them go? However, when they recalled that Lung Ruoxue had even injured 6 Reverend God-level beasts, they really did not dare to go head-to-head with her. "Don't worry, I won't take up too much of your time," Lung Ruoxue added. This wasn't a matter of time. The crowd wanted to cry, but had no tears. Master Ning's revelation had already deeply shocked them, so they were not willing to stay in the Yao residence for another moment. Now that Lung Ruoxue had suddenly appeared, they all had a bad feeling in their hearts. What Lung Ruoxue was going to say might be even more serious than what Master Ning had said. It had to be said that everyone was right, because what Lung Ruoxue was about to say would indeed scare them to the point that their hearts would start to palpitate. However, it was impossible for them to leave without listening. Lung Ruoxue had been lying low for so long and had not made a big reaction to the reward offered by Rhyme Ice, because she was waiting for the day when it would blow up. Now, with her godfather's foreshadowing, it was only natural for her to expose the matter. Moreover, with so many forces of the divine realm gathered here, what better opportunity could there be? If she didn't say it now, she would also choose a time to announce these secrets to the public. Therefore, all the major forces in the divine realm would know about this sooner or later. Wasn't there a saying that it was better to be present than to choose another day? Therefore, she had chosen today a good day where all the forces were present. As she thought of this, the smile on Lung Ruakshu's face became even more radiant. The demon and the rest naturally knew what she was thinking. Hence, they had long stood in a row, blocking the path of those who were about to leave. Thanks when the crowd saw this, they glanced at the snow-white Totoro in Lung Ruakshu's arms, and their hearts trembled even more. This Totoro couldn't be the one that had wreaked havoc in the Divine Lord's estate a while ago, right? Even though they had heard of the Totoro and Lung Ruakshu's relationship, they did not take it seriously since they had not seen it with their own eyes. And now, this Totoro was lying comfortably in Lung Ruakshu's arms and playing with its tail. Its dark, starry eyes were staring at them, as if it was sizing up its prey. This made their already uneasy hearts panic even more. At this moment, Lung Ruashue and the others had all returned to their original appearances. Song naturally had also changed back to his Totoro appearance. When the master of the Ning family came out of the living room and saw their appearance, he knew that Shue, and the others were ready. The Chung clan's clan head, who had followed them out, immediately approached Lung Ruashue with a smile the moment he saw her. With a teasing look, he teased, "All right, little girl, you clearly know that the Yao family's old man wants to find someone to deal with you, yet you still dare to come here in broad daylight. Aren't you afraid that we will join forces to take you down?" Although his words were meant to tease, but it was because from the corner of his eyes he saw that the head of the Yao family had also followed them out, so he deliberately said this. However, these words were also his true feelings. However, the head of the Yao family, who happened to hear this, was immediately unhappy and shouted at the head of the Chung family, "Old man Chung, what are you talking about? When did I ever think of finding someone to deal with Lung Ruashue? What's wrong? Didn't you gather us here to discuss how to deal with Shue? You dare to deny it?" The head of the Chung family glared at him and roared, "You bastard! This old thing dared to not admit it." The patriarch of the Chung family was furious, and the consequences were very serious. "You've misunderstood. I only said to discuss Lung Ruaksha's matter. I have no intention of gathering you all to deal with her." The head of the Yao family hurriedly explained. When he saw the Totoro, he knew that even if he was not afraid of Lung Ruashue, he could not admit that he wanted to deal with her. Otherwise, this Totoro, who had dared to tear down the Divine Lord's residence, would have no qualms about tearing down the Yao family. Now, the Yao family definitely did not have the spare money to repair the house. Therefore, he would rather leave the impression that Old Man Chung and the others were shameless than to be hated by this Totoro. After hearing the scoundrels of the Yao family's patriarch, the originally angry patriarch Chung was amused. The head of the Chung clan said with a face full of admiration, "Old Man Yao, I've finally gotten to know you today. Your ability to lie with your eyes open is beyond our reach. All right, you win. If you say it's not a deal with Shue, then it's not. Me, I can't be bothered to argue with such a shameless person like you. I find it embarrassing." After the Chung family's head finished speaking, he didn't even want to look at the Yao family's head and directly turned his head away. However, the shameless Yao family's head didn't feel too good at this time, because as soon as he said those words, he received many surprised gazes. The surprise and disbelief in those eyes made his old face burn. After all, as the head of the family, it wasn't easy to go back on his words. Many people would be watching. However, compared to the destructive power of the Totoro, he would rather let these people despise him. Who asked Song to be more difficult than others? It could be said that in order to not anger Song, he even threw away his old face. Following that, he turned to Lung Ruashue and said, "Miss Lung, they've all misunderstood my meaning. I invited them here only to discuss your matter with the other forces. I'm not gathering them to deal with you. Of course, I also want to be a peacemaker and mediate the conflict between you and the beast race. As a matter of fact, I've even invited the dragon race, the phoenix race, and the white tiger race, which are the 4 divine beast kings. Don't you guys agree?" Chapter 2305, Prologue of the Counterattack 2. The patriarch of the Yao family spoke in a gentle and understanding manner. After hearing what he said, the elders of the dragon kind and phoenix kind started to look down on him. This old thing was really too shameless. He could even say such shameless words. So what else could he not do? Wasn't he lying through his teeth? He didn't say that in the living room just now, but now that he saw the person involved, he changed his words. Did he think that everyone present was dead? The more the four elders of the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan thought about it, the more aggrieved they felt. The Yao family's head's actions were clearly showing that he had submitted to Lung Ruoxue. How could the divine beast, who had a noble bloodline and had always been proud and arrogant, accept this? However, just as they were about to fly into a rage, the head of the Yao family sent a voice transmission to them and reminded them to pay attention to the Totoro in Lung Ruoxue's arms. Only then did the four of them notice Song's existence. At the same time, they also thought of the recent rumors in the divine realm. Their hearts instantly trembled, and they immediately became as obedient as babies. At this moment, everyone else had also received the warning message from Patriarch Yao. So, surprisingly, even though they knew that Patriarch Yao was lying through his teeth, they didn't raise any doubts about his words. Seeing this, the head of the Yao family calmed down. Anyway, Lung Ruoxue and the rest were not present at the time, so he could say whatever he wanted. Even if he said that the white cat was the black cat, no one would dare to refute him. The more he thought about it, the prouder the Yao family head became. Moreover, at this time, he had clearly forgotten the existence of the master of the Ning family. But at this time, the master of the Ning family gave face to the master of the Yao family. He just smiled and looked at the master of the Yao family directing and acting without saying a word. At this time, the master of the Ning family was very clear that he didn't need to say anything about what had happened in the living room just now, and he didn't need to waste his breath arguing with old man Yao. Shui, and the others definitely knew it very well, so he naturally didn't need to waste his effort. In addition, he didn't say a word because he wanted to see how shameless this old man of the Yao family could be. After seeing him today, he was indeed not disappointed. The Yao family head invited the dragon race, phoenix race, and white tiger race here to help us mediate. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue, who had remained silent after hearing the Yao family head's explanation, asked slowly, "Of course, our Yao family is the leader of the 8 great divine domains, and you are the precious daughter of the head of the Ning family, a member of the human race. We naturally don't want you to have any misunderstandings with the beast race, so I've invited the representatives of the 3 races. Don't you agree, Elder Qin?" The patriarch of the Yao family glanced at Elder Qin, who was suppressing her anger, and gave her a meaningful look. "Right," Elder Qin said unwillingly after receiving the Yao family head's meaningful glance. In reality, if it wasn't for the Yao family head's meaningful glance, she wouldn't have said this at all. Because of the family matters, she had a rather great opinion of Lung Ruoxue, so she naturally wasn't willing to get along with her. Furthermore, the Yao family head's actions made Elder Qin feel very vexed, because he was clearly submitting to Lung Ruoxue. Although the Yao family head was afraid that the Totoro in Lung Ruoxue's arms would fly into a rage, she didn't think that with so many of them working together, they wouldn't be able to take care of a single Totoro. At the same time, she felt that the Yao family head was being overly anxious and making a mountain out of a molehill. However, Elder Qin still gave Patriarch Yao a lot of face, so she didn't immediately vent her dissatisfaction towards Lung Ruoxue. Instead, she swept her unfriendly gaze towards Lung Ruoxue without any trace of politeness. Thanks seeing this, Lung Ruoxue smiled and said, "Patriarch Yao, you said that you invited the beast to mediate between us, but no matter how I look at it, this Elder Qin seems to have a very big opinion of me. In addition, since you're here to mediate for us, why did you only invite the beasts and forget to invite me?" Faced with Lung Ruoxue's question, the Yao family head's mind whirred as he pretended to be helpless. "I wanted to wait until I've communicated with the Beast Clan about this matter before inviting you over. If that's the case, I have to thank Yao family head for your concern," Lung Ruoxue said with a half-smile. "No need to thank me. In the future, our human race and the beast race will live in harmony. The head of the Yao clan said shamelessly, "Harmonious, your head." When Lung Ruoxua heard this, she really wanted to curse out loud. However, her good upbringing allowed her to hold it in. She smiled and said, "Yao family head's wish is good, but I'm afraid it'll have to disappoint you." What? When the head of the Yao family heard this, he was stunned. Then, he looked at Lung Ruoxua with a puzzled expression, a big question mark hanging on his face. "I can't live in harmony with the beast race, especially the dragon race, phoenix race, and the white tiger race." "All right, you said that you've invited the white tiger race's representatives as well. Where are they?" After Lung Ruoxua spoke the truth, she intentionally asked about the white tiger race's situation. When the head of the Yao family heard her words, his heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Lung Ruoxua bore a grudge against the Beast clan? As such, he really couldn't clean up today. Thinking of this, he glanced at Song and saw that Song was still playing with his tail, not looking at him at all, so he felt a lot more at ease. However, what he didn't know was that even if Song wasn't looking at him, he could clearly see his every move and his little thoughts. Moreover, Song also wanted to see what kind of tricks this little fellow from the Yao family could play, so he had no intention of stopping him from talking nonsense and jumping up and down. But the head of the Yao family was completely unaware of this and was even smug in his heart, thinking that he had concealed it very well. In reality, in the eyes of Lung Ruoxua and the others, he was merely a clown. After thinking for a moment, the head of the Yao family said with a heavy heart, "Miss Lung, as the saying goes, it's easy to make enemies, but not easy to make them. I think that there is a misunderstanding between you and the Beast clan, so listen to my advice and don't be too calculative about everything. In this old man's opinion, you and the Beast clan can each take a step back, shake hands, and make merry. Don't you agree?" "What if I say no?" Lung Ruoxua said with a smile. "Miss Lung, I'm trying to persuade you with good words. You have to give me some face. Besides, if it wasn't for the fact that you've done a favor for our Yao family, I wouldn't have meddled in this matter." When the Yao family head heard Lung Ruoxua's words, he retorted angrily. "No one asked you to care," Lung Ruoxua said in an infuriating manner. She purposely paused for a moment before continuing. "Does Patriarch Yao still remember the kindness I've shown to your family? I thought you had forgotten. However, at that time, we had also completed the transaction, so it's really impossible to say that I've done a great favor for your Yao family. As a result, I won't haggle over the reason you've invited all the major factions here. But what I want to say is that I won't let the conflict between the three races and me go just like that." "What do you mean by that? What purpose could I have?" Hearing this sensitive word, the head of the Yao family could no longer be bothered with arguing with Lung Ruoxua about the Beast clan. He asked hurriedly. However, he could not help but feel nervous in his heart. He thought to himself, could it be that Lung Ruoxua found out about what we were discussing in the living room? That's impossible. When everyone heard his warning, they didn't say anything. Chapter 2306, Prologue to the Counterattack 3. Wait a minute. When did Lung Ruoxua and the rest enter? Why didn't anyone report this? It was only now that Master Yao remembered the most crucial problem and the existence of Master Ning. Damn it, he had actually forgotten about that old thing from the Ning family. How could he have made such a low-class mistake? With old man Ning, nothing that happened here could be hidden from that wretched girl. Lung Ruoxua, how detestable. Could it be that he was being played like a monkey? Thinking of this possibility, the Yao family head's face instantly darkened and quickly turned black. However, Yu Tsong's violent image was too deeply rooted in his heart, so he didn't dare to show his anger too obviously. At this moment, the head butler of the Yao family suddenly ran in from outside in a panic. As he ran, he shouted, "Master, the clan head, Lung Ruoxua, is here." When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but feel embarrassed. They all sighed in unison. They had already known this. How could this Yao family steward's reflex arc be even longer than Elder Qin's? Lung Ruoxua had already appeared for quite a while before she heard his report. "AI, this work efficiency was too low. While the crowd was silently muttering to themselves, the Yao family's head butler had also run over, panting heavily. His eyes were wide open as he glared at Lung Ruoxue. At this moment, the Yao family's head butler was in a rather sorry state. There was still tender green grass and small thorny dead branches on his body and head, as if he had rolled around somewhere. Seeing his state, everyone could guess that he had most likely not gotten any advantage in the hands of Lung Ruoxue and the others even without him saying anything. Master, master. The Yao family's head butler trembled as if he was a wife whose innocence had been taken away. He turned his tear-filled eyes to his master, but the head of the Yao family didn't give him a chance to speak. He glared at him and said angrily, I already know that Lung Ruoxue is here. You don't need to report her arrival. Get lost and stop embarrassing yourself. The head of the Yao family looked at his butler's incompetent appearance and was so angry that his heart twitched. If it wasn't for the fact that the time and occasion were not right, he really wanted to kick this blind thing. But now he could only bear with it. So his heart soon began to ache. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue smiled and said, Yao family head, let's get back to the main topic. Didn't you just ask me what I meant? I'll tell you now. It's the literal meaning. You can understand it yourself. As for the purpose of your Yao family gathering all your forces here, do I need to explain it clearly? Moreover, I can tell you clearly that Godfather didn't tell me anything, but I know everything you said in the living room. She knew what Master Yao was thinking, so she naturally had to kindly help him answer his questions. However, after hearing her words, Master Yao's face darkened even more. Since you already know, why are you still pretending to know nothing? Is it fun? The head of the Yao family had confirmed that he had indeed been played like a monkey, and he was furious. However, he still retained a trace of rationality. After all, he was worried about Song's existence. Of course it's fun. You tried so hard to cover up everything. If I don't fulfill your wish, you'll feel guilty. So, I can only kindly let you continue acting. However, now that the show is over, I've seen enough. Therefore, we can return to the main topic. Lung Ruoxue said with a calm expression. Back to what topic? The head of the Yao clan asked, suppressing his anger. As for what I told you before, please listen to what I have to say before you leave. Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. Then hurry up and tell me. The head of the Yao family gritted his teeth as he growled. At the same time, he could clearly feel a cold gaze shooting at him. Immediately, he felt a chill on his neck as a chill gushed out from his body and instantly covered his limbs. Who was it? Why did he feel so much pressure? Could it be that Totoro? It definitely was. For the Totoro to cause trouble in the God Lord estate and leave God Lord Fog Ripple helpless, it must be extraordinarily strong. Moreover, he was so wary of Tsong's existence. Therefore, although he suspected that it was Tsong's doing, he didn't dare to confirm it. In fact, the one who shot out that dagger-like gaze was not Tsong, but the demon. The evildoer didn't have a good impression of the head of the Yao family. This old thing took them for fools and wanted to fool them, but he was fooled by them instead. Now that the matter was exposed, he still dared to glare at Shui fiercely. He was really tired of living. Thanks he couldn't bear to glare at Shui, but he didn't want to keep her for others to glare at. At this moment, the evildoer bore a grudge against the head of the Yao family, and everything that happened today would determine the miserable days of the head of the Yao family in the future. Of course, the current head of the Yao family naturally didn't know. However, when Lung Ruoxue heard the Yao family head's urging, she replied unhurriedly, Yao family head, calm down. I have a long story to tell. It's not something that can be explained in 1 or 2 sentences. Then make it short. The head of the Yao family immediately roared. He was really going crazy. The dagger-like gaze that lingered on his entire body made him flustered. He had lived for so long, but he had never felt this way before. Therefore, he was quite frustrated at the moment. It was a pity that even though Lung Ruoxue could tell that the head of the Yao family was a little anxious, she remained calm and collected. She then introduced Dongfang Yu and the others to everyone. Every time Lung Ruoxue introduced a person, that person would politely greet everyone present. However, everyone present had different expressions. Some of them had a look of realization on their faces, while some were confused. Dongfang Yu and the others had disappeared from the divinity for too long. Thus, even though they were the proud and arrogant people of the divine world, they had disappeared from the public sight for too long, and many people had already forgotten about them. After Lung Ruoxu's introduction, although some of them remembered the names of Dongfang Yu and the others, most of them still could not react in time. After introducing Dongfang Yu and the others, Lung Ruoxu glanced at the confused crowd and said, "Even if you've never seen them in person, you should know about the famous Lord War God of the Divine Realm, right? Lord War God?" Everyone was jolted awake. Of course, they had heard of Lord War God. He was also the only deity in the history of the Divine Realm who had obtained the title of War God. And the God of War's name was Dongfang Yu. That's right, it was Dongfang Yu. Instantly, everyone looked at Dongfang Yu with even more fervent eyes. In the past, the war god Dongfang Yu was the idol of countless people in the Divine Realm. Other than the Divine Master, Sir Yu, the war god was the most famous person in the Divine Realm. And after Lord War God disappeared, many deities were sad for a period of time. But now, the former god of war, Dongfang Yu, was standing in front of them. How could they not be excited? Everyone's mood immediately became excited. God of War. Everyone's eager eyes made Dongfang Yu feel uncomfortable. He felt like he was a monkey in a zoo being watched by everyone. At the thought of this, he could not help but look at Lung Ruoxu with a wronged expression. Lung Ruoxu irresponsibly returned him a helpless look. This made Dongfang Yu feel extremely depressed. At this moment, when the Yao family head saw that the crowd did not suspect that Dongfang Yu's identity was fake after listening to Lung Ruoxu's words, and were even staring at him as if he was their idol, he suddenly felt a sour feeling in his heart. How detestable! He was also a reverent god, so why didn't he see the representatives of these forces looking at him with admiration? Once such a thought appeared in his mind, he could no longer control himself. Therefore, without thinking, he immediately roared, "Don't fall for Lung Ruoxu's trick. How do you know that this Dongfang Yu isn't a fake?" "Master Yao, he's the real Lord Dongfang Yu." Xia Yi, who had been silent all this while, suddenly interjected. Xia Yi was quite surprised to see Dongfang Yu here. This was because everyone in the divine world knew that Lord Dongfang Yu had disappeared hundreds of thousands of years ago. Some people even guessed that Lord Dongfang Yu had probably died. Otherwise, he would not have disappeared for so many years. Therefore, to be able to see Lord Dongfang Yu in the Yao family, everyone was more surprised than surprised. However, the head of the Yao family didn't like to hear such words, so he asked, "Sir Xia Yi, have you seen Sir Dongfang Yu in person? As far as I know, you were about the same age as me when Master Dongfang Yu went missing. At that time, we didn't have the chance to meet Master Dongfang Yu. How can you prove that this Dongfang Yu is the real one? Although I've not seen Lord Dongfang Yu in person, I'm familiar with his qi, because the courtyard that I'm living in now is the same one that Lord Dongfang Yu once lived in," Xia Yi said with pride. When the head of the Yao family heard this, he said nonchalantly, "That doesn't mean he's Sir Dongfang Yu, right? After all, Dongfang Yu had been missing for a long time. If we mistook someone else for Sir Dongfang Yu, I think the real Sir Dongfang Yu will be unhappy when he finds out." Chapter 2307. The Real and Fake God of War Token 1. This must be the head of the Yao family? It looks like you're very suspicious of my identity. Dongfang Yu asked calmly after hearing what the head of the Yao family had to say. Of course, War God Dongfang Yu is the idol of many in the divine realm. Therefore, in order to protect the honor of the war god, we must find out whether you are real or not. Otherwise, if someone were to impersonate you, how can we face the real Lord War God? The Yao family head's words were filled with righteousness. Those who didn't know would definitely think that he was a die-hard fan of the god of war, Dongfang Yu. However, in reality, he did not want Dongfang Yu's identity to be recognized by everyone. This could also be considered a disaster caused by jealousy. Although Dongfang Yu was famous hundreds of thousands of years ago, that was a thing of the past. In the current divine world, those who worship Dongfang Yu were usually those who had lived for a long time. Most of the deities might have heard of his name, but because they were born only a short time ago, they did not have a deep impression of him and naturally did not worship him much. To put it bluntly, in the hearts of those people, Dongfang Yu was probably not even as prestigious as the family masters of the 8 great divine regions. However, the status of those people in the divine realm was naturally not high. However, the people present were different. The people present were all representatives of the major forces and had very important speaking rights in their respective forces. Therefore, the Yao family master certainly valued the people present more. He really didn't want to see Dongfang Yu being more popular than him, even though they were both divine reverence. You bastard. He was an ancient person who had disappeared for so long. Why didn't he just disappear? Why did he come out? With Dongfang Yu's appearance, his status in the hearts of the people of the divinity would probably drop again. Originally, he could have been ranked in the top 3 among the reverent gods of the divine world. Other than God Lord Rhyme, the only other person above him was the Ning clan's old man. But now that Dongfang Yu had suddenly appeared, let alone being ranked in the top 3, he didn't even know where he could be ranked. How could he not be angry? The 3 reverent, God-level experts in the Divine Master's estate could never match up to the old fogies from hundreds of thousands of years ago. Therefore, the master of the Yao family felt extremely depressed when he thought about Dongfang Yu and the others stealing his limelight and his revered position in the divine realm. Then how do you want me to prove that I'm Dongfang Yu, Master Yao? Dongfang Yu deliberately pondered for a moment before he asked indifferently. As we all know, War God Dongfang Yu has a War God token, which was personally refined by the previous Divine Master, Sir Yu. It also represents his identity. So, as long as you can show me that token, I will acknowledge you as War God Dongfang Yu. After thinking for a moment, the Yao family head said, Old man Yao, aren't you making things difficult for me? Who doesn't know that Lord War God's War God token was lost? Where do you want Lord Dongfang Yu to get it? Before Dongfang Yu could say anything, the Chung family's head interjected. Yup, Master Yao, Lord Dongfang Yu's token has been lost for a long time. How could he have taken it out? Even if this Darren is not the real Darren Dongfang Yu, I'm afraid that even if the real Darren Dongfang Yu were to stand in front of us, he would not be able to take out the token you want. As soon as the Chung clan's patriarch finished speaking, some of his admirers immediately chimed in, and everyone else also looked at the Yao clan's patriarch with condemnation. The head of the Yao family was extremely thick-skinned, and under everyone's disdainful gazes, he remained calm and composed as he said, I'm just trying to prove the authenticity of this Sir Dongfang Yu. Why can't you guys understand me? Understand your head. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, Dongfang Yu put a bounty on the whereabouts of that token, but you still asked him to use it to prove his identity. You're clearly making things difficult for him. The head of the Chung clan said, somewhat speechless. This old man of the Yao clan was getting more and more shameless. He really didn't know how he had been trained to become so. How am I making things difficult for you? As long as this man who calls himself Dongfang Yu can take out that War God token, he'll admit that he's Dongfang Yu. It's that simple. The head of the Yao family said stubbornly. He didn't care about what the head of the Chung family said about Dongfang Yu losing his token. He just wanted to use the token to prove it. Thanks to patriarchs, there's no need to argue. Isn't it just a War God token? We'll just give it to you. Dongfang Yu hurriedly advised when he saw that the 2 clan heads, Chung and Yao, were flushed with anger because of him. What? When the 2 of them heard this, they were both stunned. The head of the Yao family was even more bewildered. It was impossible for this person to take out Dongfang Yu's warlord token. That was because the token of the god of war was currently lying in his storage ring. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so confident to force Dongfang Yu to hand over the token. But now, what did Dongfang Yu mean? He absolutely didn't believe that Dongfang Yu would be able to take out the token that he had lost years ago. However, just as the head of the Yao family was letting his imagination run wild, a black token appeared in Dongfang Yu's hand. A trace of ancient, enormous, and terrifying aura instantly enveloped everyone present. The aura was coming from the black token in Dongfang Yu's hand. Everyone could clearly feel the aura from the token, making them have the urge to prostrate themselves in worship. If Dongfang Yu had not controlled the release of the aura, these people would have knelt down involuntarily. Yao family head, are you talking about this token? Dongfang Yu waved the token in his hand and asked with a smile. Hearing this, the head of the Yao family raised his head and stared at the token. Then, his pupils suddenly contracted. On the front of the token were the two words God of War, written in a vigorous and powerful manner. On the back was a black phoenix with its wings spread out. This token was exactly the same as the one he had collected. Even the aura on the token was very similar. What was going on? A hint of confusion appeared in the head of the Yao family's heart. After a moment, the head of the Yao family suddenly shouted, "Your token is fake. How can you be so sure that my war god token is fake?" Dongfang Yu couldn't help but ask. Because the real war god token is in my hands. The head of the Yao family revealed his background. When everyone heard this, their expressions were as if they had seen a ghost. Those who were less courageous instantly turned pale. Arg, Yao family head, how dare you steal the token of the god of war, Dongfang Yu? The patriarch's cry rang in everyone's ears, and everyone's faces instantly paled. Fuck, why is it so chaotic today? How much more information did he have to reveal before it was over? Previously, the head of the Ning family had revealed a shocking secret. Now, the head of the Yao family had revealed that the token that the Lord War God had lost was in his hands. It was suspected that he had stolen it. Chapter 2308, The Real and Fake God of War Token 2. This series of events tested the endurance of everyone's hearts. Some of them were even wondering if they would be able to walk out of the Yao family alive after knowing so many secrets. Sob, thinking that they might die here, many people couldn't help but cry in their hearts. Today, they had been too shocked. What do you mean I stole it? I didn't steal it. Don't talk nonsense and accuse me. The head of the Yao family grew anxious when he heard this. Fuck, she shouldn't have poured dirty water on him like this. When the Yao family head heard the Chung family head's words, he was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. That damn thing was really too infuriating. Oomph, he must have done it on purpose. You said Sir Dongfang Yu's war god token is in your hands. Did we hear you right? The head of the Chung family asked with an evil smile. Yes, that's right, the head of the Yao family said. However, he only managed to say 3 words before the rest of his words were stuck in his throat by the head of the Chung family. He didn't have the chance to say them. Then it's settled. Back then, Sir Dongfang Yu's token was lost, and it's in your hands now. Didn't you steal it? The head of the Chung family said matter-of-factly, and even had a face that said, I'm smart, right? His words also made the head of the Yao family tremble with anger, and his face instantly turned livid. However, the head of the Chung clan was not afraid of him. Then, the head of the Chung family looked at Dongfang Yu with a smile and said, Sir Dongfang Yu, we found the thief who stole your token. He's the head of the Yao family. Oh, well, there must be punishment for stealing, so you can do whatever you want with him. We won't care. You guys can slowly settle the score between you. All right. Dongfang Yu received the Chung family's head's goodwill and replied with a smile. The patriarch of the Yao family almost fainted from their words. As the crowd listened to them echoing each other, they could not help but feel embarrassed. At this moment, they were extremely sympathetic to the Yao family head. You know how to lie with your eyes open, turning black into white, but so do others. I just don't know how Sir Dongfang Yu is going to punish the head of the Yao family. While the crowd sympathized with the Yao family head, they couldn't help but feel curious. In fact, everyone was well aware that it was impossible for the head of the Yao family to have stolen the token of the god of war, Dongfang Yu. Everyone knew that the head of the Yao family was just a small fry in the divine world at that time. How could he have the opportunity to steal the token of Lord Dongfang Yu? However, now that things had come to this point, although everyone was clear in their hearts, they could only pretend to know nothing and act as bystanders. Otherwise, anyone would be depressed if they were dragged into this. In an instant, everyone decided to stay out of this matter. They couldn't afford to offend any of these people. They'd better be invisible. It had to be said that everyone's decision was wise. But in the heart of the Yao family's head, he was boiling with anger, and it set off a stormy wave in his heart, igniting a sea of fire. Unfortunately, he had no way to vent it. Thanks, I didn't steal that token. After taking a few deep breaths and feeling that his anger had slightly calmed down, the head of the Yao family gritted his teeth and said, "Is the token in your hands?" The head of the Chung clan asked again. Yes. The head of the Yao family gritted his teeth so hard that they creaked. He really wanted to rush forward and grab the head of the Chung family to bite him a few times. This damn old man was really too annoying. It was all his nonsense that wronged her, causing her to almost die from anger. Then you stole it. Otherwise, how could it be in your hands? The head of the Chung family happily came to an important conclusion, but he was already laughing in his heart. Even if he couldn't anger the Yao family's old man to death, he would at least make him spit out a few mouthfuls of blood. How satisfying. I picked it up. I can't. The head of the Yao family glared at him with eyes that were spitting fire as he roared. You picked it up? Do you think we're 3-year-old kids? It was wrong. Even a 3-year-old child would not believe you. Moreover, why did you pick it up, and why can't we? The head of the Chung clan asked with a face full of doubt. I'm lucky. The head of the Yao family roared with a red face. You're lucky? With your stinky hands, how could you pick up anything good? Ha ha ha. This is too funny. Patriarch Chung didn't believe Patriarch Yao's words at all, and the expressions on the faces of the people who had been listening attentively the whole time were also clearly suspicious. A junior of my family found it by accident, so I handed it over to the family. Is that okay? The head of the Yao family helplessly told the truth. I see. Master Yao, even if you say so, there's no evidence to prove that you didn't steal Lord Dongfang Yu's token. However, since you've said so, we should give you a chance to explain yourself. So, tell me, why didn't you return this token to Sir Dongfang Yu when your junior picked it up? What were your intentions? The master of the Chung family asked with a stern face. When my family's junior found this token, Sir Dongfang Yu had already been missing for a long time. How could I return it to him? Although he was angered by the Chung family head's words to the point of spitting blood, the Yao family head had no choice but to suppress his anger and patiently explain. Otherwise, with so many people present, if this matter were to spread, who knew what kind of situation it would become? The current him was fully aware of the power of rumors, because he had been deeply harmed during this period of time. Oh, all right, you're right. Then let me ask you, you know that Sir Dongfang Yu's token is in your hands, so why do you still want him to take it out? Aren't you making things difficult for her on purpose? Your mind is really too sinister. The more Patriarch Chung spoke, the deeper the contempt on his face became. Oomph. Do you think I can't punish you just because you didn't steal the token? From the moment the old man from the Yao family said that Dongfang Yu's token was in his hands, it was already a big mistake. The head of the Chung clan couldn't help but think to himself. Everyone present felt the same way after hearing the patriarch of the Chung clan's words. The head of the Yao family had indeed done something wrong. Let's not talk about how Dongfang Yu's token got into his hands. He knew that the token was in his hands, but he still asked Dongfang Yu to prove it. This was definitely making things difficult for him. In an instant, the gazes everyone directed at the Yao family's head changed from sympathy to disdain. The Yao family head was tongue-tied by the Chung family head's words. He stammered for a long time, but couldn't say a complete sentence. In his heart, he was so angry that he was about to explode. Fuck! Who could drag this hateful old thing of the Chung family out? Now, when he saw the old man, his heart couldn't help but beat faster. Of course, it was all because of anger. However, no one could respond to his inner thoughts at this time. Dongfang Yu, who had been watching the show for a while, said, "Everyone, I know that you are very concerned about me, and I am very grateful for that. However, what I want to say is that the real War God's token has not been lost. The one that was lost was just a fake." Chapter 2309. the real and fake god of war tokens. 3. Dongfang use words shocked everyone again. In just a short while, the number of times they were surprised was almost the total number of times they were surprised in 100 years. This is impossible. Hearing that the war god's token he had kept was a fake, the head of the Yao family couldn't stay calm anymore. One had to know that the token was kept by him like a treasure. How could it be a fake? The head of the Yao family simply couldn't accept this fact. After some thought, he added, "You can't say that my war god token is fake just because you have one. I could have said that yours was a fake. If Yao family head doesn't believe me, you can take out the token in your hand and compare it with mine. At that time, we'll know who's the real one." Dongfang Yu suggested. "Good. I'll take it. My piece can't be fake." The head of the Yao family said confidently. After he finished speaking, he quickly took out the war god's token from his storage ring. As soon as the token appeared, it exuded a rather ancient aura, just like the one Dongfang Yu had taken out. It also gave off a sense of deterrence. Everyone looked at the one in Dongfang Yu's hand and then at the one in the Yao family's head's hand. For a moment, they couldn't tell which one was real and which one was fake. Seeing the question marks on everyone's faces, the Yao family's head was pleased. He had said it before. How could his be fake? However, the two tokens gave off the same aura. It wasn't easy to say that the token in Dongfang Yu's hand was fake. Thinking of this, the head of the Yao family couldn't help but frown. What should he do to make everyone believe that the one in Dongfang Yu's hands was fake? The head of the Yao family thought hard. Suddenly, his heart trembled, and his face instantly turned pale. The massive and ancient aura on his token had disappeared, and it had turned into an ordinary black iron token. This fact drove him crazy. How did this happen? How did this happen? The head of the Yao family couldn't believe this fact. However, the token in Dongfang Yu's hand was still like a king looking down on all living beings. There was no need to argue anymore. Dongfang Yu's identity was acknowledged by all the major forces without any doubt. In fact, they had acknowledged Dongfang Yu's identity the moment he appeared because they didn't think anyone would dare to impersonate him. However, the head of the Yao family didn't know if water had entered his brain, but he actually wanted to make such a scene. Now, great, let's see how he will end this. Those who didn't like the head of the Yao family couldn't help but secretly laugh. Yao family head, can you acknowledge my identity now? What's going on? Dongfang Yu asked as he put away the token and looked at the pale-faced master of the Yao family, who was still in a daze. How could this be? How did this happen? The head of the Yao family kept repeating the same words. Clearly, he couldn't accept the fact that his collection was a fake. This was too much of a blow to him. Yao family head, I've said it before, the token I lost back then was fake. Because I accidentally discovered that someone was after the war god's token, I asked the Divine Master to make a few more fakes for me, just in case. I didn't expect that one of the fakes would really be stolen. Dongfang Yu answered with a smile. Then why do the two tokens have the same aura? Moreover, over the years, I have taken out the token countless times, but there has never been a situation where the aura disappears. What did you do to my token? The head of the Yao family snapped back to his senses and questioned him angrily. At this moment, he had long forgotten that the token he had collected was actually Dongfang Yu's. You still don't understand? Two identical tokens, the fake meeting the real one, naturally will be exposed. Lung Ruoxue could only kindly explain when she saw that the head of the Yao family had suffered a huge blow. Not bad. When the token in your hand appears alone, no one will notice anything wrong. However, when the real and the fake appear at the same time, the fake naturally can't be real. Dongfang Yu added with a smile. After hearing this explanation, the head of the Yao family was completely listless. Thanks, old man Yao, my condolences. It's just a token. If it's fake, then so be it. It's not yours anyway. Besides, since you've suffered quite a bit, I won't pursue the matter of you deliberately making things difficult for Sir Dongfang Yu. However, I don't know if Sir Dongfang Yu will let you off easily. You take care of yourself. Seeing this, the head of the Chung family patted the shoulder of the head of the Yao family with a look of sympathy and consoled. However, the head of the Yao family didn't appreciate his comfort and didn't give him any good looks. However, The head of the Chung clan didn't care that his warm face was stuck to someone else's cold, but instead he smiled and said to everyone present, "Now, Sir Dongfang Yu's identity has finally been confirmed. Let's welcome the return of the great war god." After he finished speaking, he took the lead in clapping. Then, thunderous applause suddenly rang out. Dongfang Yu also nodded to the crowd to express his gratitude. However, when the head of the Yao family heard the applause, he could not understand the joy of the crowd. But at this time, he had completely calmed down. However, his heart was cold because he knew that he had completely offended Dongfang Yu. Although Dongfang Yu had not said anything, it did not mean that he would not hold a grudge. Thinking up to this point, the head of the Yao family could only thicken his skin and say, "Sir Dongfang Yu, I was being disrespectful to you because I wanted to verify your identity. I hope you don't blame me." "Don't worry, I won't take it to heart," Dongfang Yu said with a friendly smile. However, he couldn't help but think to himself, "My biggest enemy is Wu Chun. Who has the time to deal with you?" In his eyes, the Yao family head was just a clown, and he didn't need to spare time to deal with him. He just needed to deal with this old thing when he was ready, so there was no need to waste too much time on him. When the head of the Yao family heard Dongfang Yu's words, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. Otherwise, he was really afraid that Dongfang Yu would not let him off. Unfortunately, he couldn't read Dongfang Yu's mind, so he didn't know what he was thinking. Otherwise, he would be depressed to death. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue saw that the matter of Dongfang Yu's identity had finally come to an end. She smiled and said, "Everyone, now that you've confirmed Dongfang Yu's identity, I think you'd like to hear about his experiences over the years, right?" They really wanted to hear it. Although they knew that they had no choice but to listen and Lung Ruoxue would not let them go, they could not deny that Dongfang Yu's experiences over the years were quite attractive to them. Their only hope was not to hear anything that would shock them. But was that possible? Lung Ruoxue had to show them evidence. Seeing that everyone was all ears, Dongfang Yu's deep and pleasant voice slowly sounded, "I've been in the Divine Master's estate all these years." After Dongfang Yu finished his sentence, he deliberately paused to give everyone a chance to fill in the blanks. As expected, Xia Yi and Huang Wei's expressions changed drastically when they heard this. "Sir Dongfang Yu has always been in the Divine Master's estate? How come I didn't know about it? Or is he in the Divine Master's residence?" For some reason, they had a bad feeling at the same time. They could feel that what Dongfang Yu was going to say next might bring a huge storm to the divinity. As for the others, they were still looking at Dongfang Yu in confusion, waiting for him to continue. Glancing at everyone's expressions, Dongfang Yu continued, "I was locked up by that bitch, Wu Yan. No, I should say we were locked up." He looked at Uncle Yan and the others and continued, "We've been imprisoned by her for hundreds of thousands of years and suffered from that perverted woman's torture. Fortunately, Shui saved us. Otherwise, we'd never have the chance to see the light of day again, let alone see you all." So, Master Ning's words are true. Master Yu was indeed killed by the fog. The same words coming from Master Ning's mouth were naturally not as heavy as coming from Dongfang Yu's mouth. Moreover, the crowd had been frightened by Master Ning's words, and to a large extent, they couldn't completely believe that it was the truth. Some people even thought that Master Ning was trying to defame God, Lord Rimming Mist. Thus, they didn't want to stay for a moment longer, for fear that they would be implicated by Master Ning, who might be spreading rumors to slander God, Lord Rimming Mist. However, Dongfang Yu was the most trusted man of the former Divine Lord, Lord Yu. The credibility of his words was not something that the master of the Ning family could compare with. Therefore, everyone's face turned pale as soon as he said this. Some of the more timid ones couldn't help but tremble. They were truly afraid. Before this, they might have been able to feign ignorance about the credibility of those words and escape in a panic. But now, many of them were weak in the knees and couldn't escape even if they wanted to. After giving everyone some buffer time, Dongfang Yu began to introduce in detail what the fog ice had done to them for the past hundreds of thousands of years. When the people present heard Dongfang Yu's description of the torture that Wu Mo had inflicted on them, quite a number of them fainted from shock. However, Dongfang didn't care if anyone was afraid. He continued to vividly describe what Lung Ruoxue had asked him to say. However, when he saw everyone fainting one after another, he suddenly couldn't help but hold it in. Chapter 23:10. The Way of a Man. 1. Wasn't a little too much for him to scare her like this? However, Shui was the one who told him to say these words. She even told him to say it as gory as possible, and he did as he was told. These words were definitely the truth, without a hint of falsehood. However, these people's psychological endurance seemed to be a little weak. How did they faint from fear so quickly? To be honest, Dongfang was depressed and a little unhappy when he saw them faint. He had only needed to say a few words to make them faint. If these people were to experience the treatment they had been through, wouldn't they? His heart trembled. He didn't dare to imagine if these people could hold on. However, just as this thought surfaced in his mind, Lung Ruoxue's voice rang in his ears. Everyone, in order to let you experience the torture that Dongfang Yu and the others have suffered, I've decided to let you experience it for yourself. Dongfang Yu was silent for a moment after hearing this. He didn't dare to let his thoughts run wild. Sob, Shui most likely knew how to read minds. Otherwise, why would that little girl execute his thoughts just now? At this moment, he couldn't tell if he was feeling sympathy for these people or something else. In short, as long as he thought about how these people would be treated the same way as them, his complicated feelings for the person in front of him were like a surging river, endless. In reality, Lung Ruoxue's thoughts were not directly related to Dongfang Yu's thoughts. Lung Ruoxue did not read his mind. It was just that Lung Ruoxue felt that no matter how eloquently Dongfang Yu spoke, it would not be as good as letting them feel it directly. Hence, before Dongfang Yu had thought of it this way, Lung Ruoxue had already thought of it. When the patriarch of the Chung clan and the others heard this, they couldn't help but be speechless. When the representatives of the various major forces heard these words, some of them felt dizzy, while some of them were in a daze. Even so, they still had to personally experience all of this horror. This wouldn't cost them their lives, right? Thinking of this, the head of the Chung family couldn't help but remind him, Shui, little girl, so many of these people have fainted. Do you still want them to experience it? Of course. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, a small and exquisite white whale appeared in front of everyone. When it first saw Master Chung and the others, the little white whale was a little shy. However, when it faced those who had fainted, it was very strong. The little white whale opened its mouth slightly, and then a few water pillars shot out from it. When the water pillars first came out, there were only a few small ones, but when they fell on those people, they became a heavy downpour. In an instant, the people who had fainted were drenched like fallen chickens. When the head of the Chung family and the others saw this, they couldn't help but shiver. They thought to themselves, Shui is really ruthless. The water column that the white whale spewed out emitted a bone-piercing chill. Even those who were awake could feel the chill from the inside out, let alone those who had already passed out. These people's bodies had already lost all resistance. Just as they were thinking this, they saw that someone had already woken up from the cold. The first person to wake up was trembling all over, and his face was even paler. He was like a chick that had just come out of its shell, looking lost and at a loss. Isn't someone already awake? Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Ugh, all right. Did someone wake up? Or was it because of the cold? When the Chung clan's clan head and the others heard this, they secretly sighed to themselves. They were deeply touched by Lung Ruoxue's methods. That little girl would definitely not play her cards according to the rules. At the same time, when they thought of this, they also felt deeply rejoiced. It was fortunate that they had not offended this little girl. Otherwise, they would have to receive the same treatment as them. Thanks, of course, these people didn't dare to offend Lung Ruoxue too much at the moment. It was just that they had fainted from fear, and Lung Ruoxue needed them to wake up. As the unconscious people woke up one by one, Lung Ruoxue repeated her thoughts to everyone. After hearing it, some people wanted to faint again. However, there was no way Lung Ruoxue would give them the chance to faint again. She only said indifferently, "Whoever faints again, I guarantee that they will never wake up." Hearing this, who would still dare to faint? Therefore, everyone forced themselves to be alert and looked at Lung Ruoxue pitifully, hoping that she would be kind enough to let them go. However, Lung Ruoxue had never thought of herself as a kind person. Hence, she ignored their pleading gazes and sent them into the dream dust space. The dream dust in the space received everyone who came to experience it, and when everyone was there, he began his work. In a short moment, only the people from the 8 divine domains, the Alchemist Guild headquarters, the Artifact Master Guild headquarters, the Phoenix Clan, the Dragon Clan, and the Ascender Alliance remained outside the Yao family's living room. Seeing that there were so few people, the head of the Chung family couldn't help but ask curiously, "Shwe, little girl, did those people go to experience it?" "Of course. Do you guys want to experience it too?" Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes swept across the few remaining people present as she asked. When the patriarch of the Chung family and the others heard this, they shook their heads repeatedly. They didn't want to experience any form of torture, and they didn't believe that Lung Ruoxue simply wanted those people to experience those things. Hence, they deeply felt that it was safer to stay outside. That's a pity. Seeing them shake their heads, Lung Ruoxue had no choice but to say this. Then, she looked at them in the eye. No one said a word, and the atmosphere suddenly became heavy. In fact, when Jiang Ning, who had been secretly peeking at Lung Ruoxue from the side, saw her in person, he was so anxious that he wanted to go up to her and get close to her. However, he was stopped by that hateful Mo Yin. Mo Yin even sent him a voice transmission, telling him to calm down and not cause any trouble for that girl. Just listening to his words, it was so infuriating. How could he cause trouble for others? He didn't know how popular he was, but Mo Yin wouldn't allow him to act rashly and even threatened him that if he didn't listen, he wouldn't put in a good word for him in front of Lung Ruoxue. With such a threat, he really had to be obedient. However, it was as if there was a kitten living in his heart. The kitten's claws were still scratching at his heart, making his heart itch unbearably. It was because of this that his resentful little eyes kept floating over Lung Ruoxue's body. Lung Ruoxue, who had been very calm all this while, also clearly felt a probing gaze. She subconsciously turned her head to take a look, only to realize that someone from the Alchemist Guild headquarters was secretly peeking at her. When he saw her looking at him, that person even lowered his head shyly. This scene made Lung Ruoxue's forehead fill with black lines. Who was this pretty boy? Do you know her? Jiang Ning would never have thought that he was being treated as a gigolo by Lung Ruoxue, who had lowered his head so quickly because he was afraid of being discovered. If he knew Lung Ruoxue's thoughts, he would definitely cry out. Chapter 2311. The Way of a Man to a Pretty Boy. He was the dignified vice president of the Alchemist Guild headquarters. He had status, and face. So how could he be a pretty boy? However, in everyone's eyes, Jiang Ning's fair and handsome face really did look like a pretty boy. Of course, no one would dare to say this in front of him. Lung Ruoxue turned around and saw that it was a pretty boy looking at her. Naturally, she did not pay much attention to him. As for Mo Yin, an old ancestor who were standing beside him, she did not take the initiative to greet them. After giving them a tacit look, she turned her beautiful eyes back to the Yao family head. Her beautiful eyes kept looking at the Yao family's head, making him feel uneasy. In the end, she looked at the furious Yao family's head and made him feel uncomfortable. The head of the Yao family didn't even think about it before he lost his mind and roared, "Why do you keep looking at me?" Everyone had different reactions to this. There were those who were surprised, and those who wanted to laugh. However, Lung Ruoxue was extremely calm as she replied, "What? You can't even take a look? Is Master Yao afraid of being looked at? Or do I have to pay a fee to see you?" The head of the Yao family trembled in anger at the sharp-tongued Lung Ruoxue. He couldn't even form a complete sentence. His chest heaved up and down violently. Suddenly, he started panting. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue was a little afraid and quickly said, "Yao family head, Don't be agitated, calm down. If you're shy, I won't look. However, you can't always be so introverted. In the future, the Yao family will still be counting on you to make money. If you can't let it go, other people will faint at a glance, and your Yao family will have to starve in the future. What do you mean by that? After a long while, the head of the Yao family finally shouted out this sentence and pointed at Lung Ruoxue with a questioning look. Hehe, I know that the Yao family doesn't have much money left, so I wanted to introduce you to a job. I just don't know if you're interested. Lung Ruoxue asked with a bright smile. When the head of the Yao family heard this, he was stunned. However, the head of the Chung family was very interested in this topic and quickly asked, Little girl, what job are you going to introduce him to? Do you earn a lot of money? A good job, of course. You can earn a lot of money. Lung Ruoxue's smile was extremely mysterious. Really? Old man Yao, what are you waiting for such a good job? Quickly agree. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the Chung clan's clan head immediately shifted his gaze to the Yao clan's clan head and loudly advised, Agree my ass. I don't need any work. The head of the Yao family gritted his teeth and said, his face turning green with anger, How can you not need it? Your Yao family can still afford it. Don't try to act all high and mighty. We all know who you are. The head of the Chung clan said with a look of disbelief, clearly not believing his words. I said I don't need to work. If you want to do it, go do it. The head of the Yao clan stomped his feet in anger. TSK, the little girl was found for you, so of course I can't snatch her from you, right? A girl? The head of the Chung clan turned his head and asked. And Lung Ruoxue nodded. Master Yao, the job I've recommended is only suitable for you. No one else can do it. I said I don't need it. The head of the Yao family couldn't bear it anymore and roared, but he didn't dare to shout too loudly because he saw Tsang's eyelids close. Therefore, as he spoke, his voice became softer and softer, and his imposing manner disappeared. Thanks, AI. If you don't appreciate it, then forget it. However, they'll keep this job opportunity for you. In the future, if you're at a dead end in the divine realm, remember to come and find me. Lung Ruoxue said with an understanding look. However, after hearing this, Master Yao's face turned even darker. Fuck, you're the one who's at a dead end. This wretched girl was clearly cursing him. This was really too detestable. The anger in his heart instantly turned into a sea of fire. However, in fear of Yu Tsang's existence, the Yao family head could only try his best to suppress his anger. However, the various grievances in his heart made him so mad that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. Even though he had not fought with Lung Ruoxue many times, he had never won a single time. This fact made him so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. However, what made him even more envious and jealous was that this damn girl's luck was so good. She had only been in the divine realm for a few years, but she had already made a name for herself. Even the Totoro that had wreaked havoc in the God Lord's estate had fallen into her hands. One had to know that not even God Lord Fog Ripple could do anything to that Totoro. But now, he was like a pet, lying in her arms. How could she not hate him? The head of the Yao family's old face was flushed red as he let his thoughts run wild, thinking about the various grievances in his heart. However, Lung Ruoxue didn't have the time to consider his feelings. She felt that it was about time, so she ordered Huan Chun to send out the people who had gone in to experience the torture. The people who were sent out were obviously still thinking about the scene at that time. Some of them even shouted, Please let me go. Independent Illinois explained. They'll tell you everything. I surrender. Am willing to submit to God, Lord Fog Ripple. Long live God, Lord Fog Ripple. Woo-wah. For a time, the scene was chaotic. There were people crying loudly, screaming in pain, and talking nonsense. All kinds of situations occurred, which made the head of the Chung family and the others' foreheads full of black lines. What was this situation? How were they tortured in there? The Chung family head and the others were both curious and puzzled. Looking at these people's appearances, it was obvious that they couldn't hold on and confessed everything. However, Lung Ruoxue adopted a cold and detached attitude towards this. After a long time, The sound of crying became weaker and weaker, and many people slowly regained their consciousness. They also remembered that everything before might have been an illusion. Suddenly, most of them felt so embarrassed that they wanted to find a hole to hide in. It was really too embarrassing, wasn't it? How do you feel? Lung Roashua asked with a smile, when she saw that the people who had gone in to experience it had mostly recovered. The crowd felt awkward and did not know how to answer Lung Roashua's question. However, Lung Roashua did not expect to hear their answer. Instead, she continued, for hundreds of thousands of years, Dongfang Yu and the others have been subjected to such torture. What you've experienced is just a drop in the ocean. So, please put yourself in my shoes. Should we go to the Ripple Mist to take revenge? After Lung Roashua finished her sentence, she stopped speaking for the time being. She left enough space for everyone to think. In her eyes, although these people were not the top figures in the divinity, people like them were the most common in the divinity. That was why Lung Roashua had gone through so much trouble to make them understand first, so that they would not be unaware of the truth and drag her down. Chapter 23:12. The Way of a Man, 3. As for the Chung family head and the others, they had been in power for a long time, so they naturally didn't need to be treated this way. They knew that one couldn't look at things only on the surface. As for those who had experienced it before, after hearing Lung Roashua's words, they started to seriously consider it. If they were in his place, they would definitely seek revenge as long as they could escape alive. However, Wu Cheng was a divine master. Even if they wanted to take revenge, the chances were slim. Thus, at this moment, everyone was extremely conflicted. They wanted to support Dongfang Yu's revenge, but they also felt that the chances of revenge were not high. Many people even put themselves in the shoes of Dongfang Yu and the others and felt that revenge must be taken. However, he had to think carefully about how to take revenge. That Wu Cheng is a god master. I'm afraid it's impossible for you to take revenge on her, right? After a long while, an unremarkable-looking middle-aged man was the first to speak in a low voice. After he finished speaking, he quickly lowered his head, afraid that people would find out that he was the one who had said it. Where there's a will, there's a way. After hearing what she wanted to hear, Lung Roashua smiled and said, we want to take revenge on Wu Xian, not only for Dongfang Yu and the others. You've all heard that the previous divine master of the divine world was killed by Wu Xian. I know that you don't have any evidence after hearing what we said, right? After Lung Roashua finished speaking, she deliberately paused again. Then, her beautiful eyes swept across the crowd. When she saw Huang Wei and Xia Yi, she paused for a while longer before she looked away. Yes, I am. Seeing Lung Roashua looking at him, Xia Yi hurriedly said. When he had first heard that Suryu had died at the hands of God Lord Fog Ripple, he had been rather shocked. However, as a reverent god and a reverent god of the God Lord's estate, he naturally couldn't just make a baseless claim. As such, he needed evidence, because he truly couldn't believe that God Lord Fog Ripple would act against Suryu. After being in the God Lord's estate for so many years, he would be lying if he said he didn't understand the feelings God Lord Rivermist had for Suryu. However, it was precisely because he understood that he was shocked and found it hard to believe. Unless Lung Roashua could produce evidence, he could only assume that she was slandering God, Lord Fog Ripple. In order to protect the reputation of the Divine Master's estate, Lung Roashua would definitely become the Divine Master's estate's enemy and be hunted down by them. His impression of Lung Roashua wasn't too bad, so he naturally didn't wish for such an outcome. Hence, he was even more looking forward to seeing if Lung Roashua could provide any evidence. When Lung Roashua heard his words, she didn't say anything. She merely waved her snow-white hand, and a light screen appeared in midair. The light screen that had just appeared was completely empty. When Xia Yi saw this, he could not help but look at Lung Roashua in confusion. At that moment, the sound of fog appeared on the screen, and an image appeared. Everyone's attention was immediately drawn to the image on the screen. The video on the screen only played for less than half an hour before it disappeared. However, everything that was displayed in this short period of time was enough to prove that Lung Ruoxu's words were not false. Sir Yes' death was indeed caused by the mist ripple. For a long time after they finished watching the video, the scene was so quiet that even the sound of a needle falling to the ground could be heard clearly. Lung Ruoxu knew that this video had a huge impact on everyone. Hence, she patiently waited for them to regain their senses. After an unknown amount of time, everyone finally came back to their senses. However, even though they had come back to their senses, they were still extremely shocked. Previously, they had asked for evidence. However, now that the evidence was out, they did not know what to do. A considerable number of people became at a loss. Thanks now that they knew about this shocking secret, which had evidence to prove it, they could no longer deceive themselves and think that this matter was fake. However, it was precisely because there was evidence that they didn't know how to respond. Sob, they really regretted coming to the Yao clan's divine realm to get involved in this mess. If he didn't come here, did that mean he didn't need to know about these things? Of course, these are just the thoughts of some people. Even if they didn't come here, Lung Ruoxu would have announced this to the public. Now, they had only known about it in advance. Seeing that the time was right, Lung Ruoxu continued, "You've all seen the video just now. Now, what I want to say is that the master you in your eyes is my master, and it is only natural for a disciple to avenge his master. Therefore, the hatred between me and Fog cannot be shared. I'm telling you the truth of these things in the hope that you can be clear about what you should and shouldn't do. If anyone has been bewitched by Fog and wants to stand out, then come at me. They'll just wait. As for the reward offered by Rhyme Ice, if you're still interested, you can continue to do it. However, I want to show mercy to those who dare to offend me. Therefore, before you do something, you'd better think clearly whether money or life is more important." Lung Ruoxu's smile was extremely gentle, but the words she said were like knives, stabbing straight into everyone's hearts. The people present were a mix of good and bad, and naturally, not all of them were reasonable people. Hence, some of them still had their own plans in mind, hoping to profit from the battle between Lung Ruoxu and Wucheng. However, when they heard Lung Ruoxu's words, this small group of people also realized that Lung Ruoxu was not a pushover. However, if they were asked to do nothing, they would really be unwilling. At this time, someone couldn't help but ask, "Miss Lung, may I know the truth of the bounty?" When everyone heard this, they perked up their ears again to listen carefully. Yes, since Lung Ruoxu had a grudge against Wucheng, the truth behind the bounty couldn't possibly be as Wucheng had said. Furthermore, the beast race was involved in this matter, so the truth would probably be even more thought-provoking, right? The truth is that someone betrayed Dongfang Yu and the others. Rhyme City colluded with the Beast Clan and wanted to kill them. However, they were unexpectedly destroyed by us. They were angry, so they poured the dirty water on us. It's that simple. Lung Ruoxu explained in a few words. As soon as everyone heard this, the way they looked at the 4 elders of the Phoenix Clan and the Dragon Clan instantly changed. They were now looking at them with contempt. The faces of the 4 elders of the Dragon and Phoenix races instantly turned red when they received the disdainful gazes of the crowd. Elder Qin even roared with an unconvinced expression, "Lung Ruoxu, this is just your one-sided story. Do you think we'll believe you? What is a one-sided statement? You said that I attacked the beasts. Wasn't that just a one-sided story? Didn't many people still believe that? Why is it that now that I've told the truth, it has become your one-sided story, saying that no one will believe it? To be honest, I'm just answering other people's questions. As for whether you believe me or not, I really don't care." Lung Ruoxu said nonchalantly. Ew. Lung Ruoxu's words had driven Elder Qin mad. Just as she was about to flare up, she received a comforting gaze from the Yao family head, so she could only calm down. Then everyone heard the head of the Yao family say, "Everyone, regardless of whether Lung Ruoxu's words are one-sided or not, I believe that everyone has their own judgment. So, let's not be entangled in this matter anymore. Right now, we have more important things to clarify, right?" When the crowd heard the Yao family head's words, they were all filled with question marks. However, Lung Ruashua had a smile on her face. She wanted to see what evil tricks this old man was up to this time. Receiving everyone's expectant gazes, the head of the Yao family coughed a few times before continuing to ask, "Young Lady Lung, we have seen all the evidence that you have previously provided regarding Sir Yu being harmed by the Lord of Fog Ripple. Although it is not appropriate for us to comment on this, we are still quite interested in your identity. You claim to be Sir Yes' disciple. Do you have any proof?" After hearing what Master Yao had to say, Master Chen couldn't help but whisper to Master Ning without waiting for Lung Ruoxu's reply. Old Man Ning was the head of the Yao family's old man kicked by a donkey? How did his identity match up to her now? You need evidence for everything? It's not that his head was kicked by a donkey. He doesn't even have a head. Master Ning coldly replied. His voice wasn't soft, so everyone present heard it clearly. In addition, they had also vaguely heard Master Cheng's whisper. Therefore, for a moment, everyone looked at Master Yao with strange expressions. The Yao clan head's face darkened even more at the words of the Ning and Cheng clan heads. At this moment, Lung Ruoxua also spoke up. I don't have any proof, and Master didn't give me any identity token. So if the head of the Yao family doesn't believe me, I can't do anything about it. Believe it or not, it doesn't matter to me whether you believe it or not. In short, it's enough that Dongfang Yu and the others and my two senior brothers have acknowledged my identity. Lung Ruoxu's words were said in a carefree manner, causing anger to rise in the Yao family head's heart. However, before he had the chance to flare up, Song said, "Girl, I believe that you're that idiot Yes disciple. It doesn't matter if others believe it or not." After saying this, Song's dark eyes swept over the Yao family's patriarch several times. Immediately, the Yao family's patriarch's heart jumped into his throat, and he couldn't help but swallow back the words he had yet to say. The head of the Yao family quivered and became well-behaved. The pressure that Song gave him was too great. He couldn't help but be afraid. Looking at the Yao family head who didn't dare to speak anymore, Lung Ruoxua nodded towards Song Qing without batting an eyelid, then continued, "Everyone, I don't care what you're thinking or what choice you'll make, but what I want to say is that I'll also issue a reward later, and I welcome everyone to participate." With that, Lung Ruoxua didn't give the crowd a chance to ask any more questions. She led the crowd and swaggered out of the Yao family's main residence, just like when she came. The reward that she had mentioned was also announced very quickly. Chapter 23:13. Chain reaction triggered by the bounty. 1. After Lung Ruoxua left, the people who remained at the scene could not help but stare at each other. Did they hear wrong? Lung Ruoxua said that she was going to put up a bounty. Ugh, I wonder what she's offering a reward for. Although everyone was very curious, they were also very clear that the other party's reward must be extraordinary because he had a grudge against the Divine Master. Thinking of this, everyone's hearts trembled again. Lung Ruoxua had warned them to think carefully. Which was more important, money or life? Then why did she tell them that she welcomed them to participate in her bounty? Wasn't that contradictory? As everyone thought of this, more and more cold sweat trickled down their foreheads. However, many of them understood what Lung Ruoxua meant. She was clearly warning them not to provoke her. However, they also did not have the guts to provoke God Lord Rhyme. In fact, in their eyes, God Lord Fog Ripple was even more difficult to deal with than Lung Ruoxua. After all, his status as God Lord Mist Ripple was right there. The entire divine world belonged to God Lord Fog Ripple. If they dared to oppose the God Lord estate, it would be like an egg hitting a rock. Thus, at that moment, many people understood that whether it was Lung Ruoxua or God Lord Fog Ripple, they could not afford to offend either of them. Thus, the majority of them decided to retreat. Woo! Let Lung Ruoxua, this tough egg, touch that rock, God Lord Rhyme. They didn't want to get involved in the matter between the two of them. Who cared who was right or wrong? They couldn't afford to offend them, but they could hide from them. After thinking through it thoroughly, the representatives of the major forces all expressed their desire to leave. No matter how much the depressed Yao family head tried to keep them, no one was willing to stay for a moment longer. Even the 4 elders of the Phoenix and Dragon tribes left with their tails between their legs like stray dogs. Of course, the other party definitely didn't think that he had slipped away. In their words, they had to send such important information back to their clan as soon as possible. As for the grudges between their clan and Lung Ruoxue, they were too weak to interfere. As a result, the Yao family head, who was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood, could only watch as the various factions left one by one. However, what made him feel rather gratified was that the people from the Alchemist Guild headquarters, the Weapon Master Guild, and the Ascender Alliance gave him some face and still stayed in the Yao family instead of immediately fleeing in a panic. As for the family heads of the 8 great divine regions who also didn't leave and still wanted to see how things would develop, they were completely ignored by him. However, before the head of the Yao family had time to rejoice, Jiang Ning informed him on behalf of the Alchemist and Weapon Masters Guild that they were also leaving. Then, the people of the Ascender Alliance also said the same thing. Without giving the head of the Yao family a chance to react, the 3 major forces left the Yao family with their respective groups of people. Old man Yao, your guests have all left, so we won't stay any longer. Take care. Glancing at the obviously dumbfounded head of the Yao family, the head of the Chung family said with a look of sympathy, "AI, what a pitiful old man from the Yao family." Before gathering everyone here, he definitely didn't think that this would be the result. However, who could he blame? He could only blame himself for being too nosy. Ever since he had known that little lass Lung Ruoxue, he had never seen anyone who went against her and gained a huge advantage from her. After the head of the Chung family finished speaking, he gave the other 6 family heads a look, and then the 6 of them left happily. In just a few minutes, the Yao family's mansion was completely silent, and the Yao family's head's face was dark. No one knew what he was thinking. When the 9th elder of the Yao family saw this, he didn't even dare to breathe. Elder Yao Jiao was well aware that the patriarch was depressed, but wasn't he the same? However, other than feeling depressed, he didn't have any good ideas. The head of the Yao family had gone for wool and come home shorn. He had failed to achieve his goal, so he was naturally in a bad mood. And because of the low pressure he had created, the Yao family was once again immersed in a bone-chilling cold. Thanks as for Lung Ruoxue and the others, after leaving the Yao family's main residence, they did not leave the Yao family's divine realm immediately. Instead, they found a house in the Yao family's main city to stay in temporarily. When the Yao family head heard the news, he was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, there was nothing he could do about it, because even if he wanted to chase those people away, he had to have the strength. However, Lung Ruoxue and the rest were not worried that the Yao family head would do anything behind their backs. Their daily task was to receive the 8 family heads from the Divine Realm and the uninvited guest from the Alchemist Guild headquarters. Of course, this uninvited guest was naturally referring to Jiang Ning. Ever since Mo Yin had introduced Jiang Ning to Lung Ruoxue, he had moved into the residence that Lung Ruoxue and the others were staying at. He could not even be driven away. Little Shuet, where are you? Lung Ruoxue, who was chatting with Uncle Long and the others in the garden, was speechless when she heard this familiar voice. Is this guy done yet? He knew where she was, but he still called her that. If he didn't know, he would think that she had gone missing. Just as she was thinking about this, Jiang Ning's handsome face appeared outside the garden's arched door. Then, a face that looked even more pitiful than a puppy's appeared beside Lung Ruoxue. Little Shuet, seeing that Lung Ruoxue was ignoring him, Jiang Ning could only call out to her pitifully. He even deliberately dragged out his voice, causing everyone to have goosebumps. If you have something to say, then say it. Lung Ruoxue gritted her teeth as she suppressed the urge to give Jiang Ning a good beating. Little Shuet, Jiang Ning was embarrassed for a moment. Then, he lowered his head and said in a low voice, I need a dragon's beard. Can you help me? Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but facepalm. This guy, couldn't he be a little more normal? She had known this guy for 2 days, but the first time she saw him in Jiangning was still deeply imprinted in her mind. It was as if it had just happened. She couldn't forget it, even if she wanted to. She remembered that 2 days ago, Mo Yin and the cheapskate old ancestor had come to look for her and introduced them to Jiang Ning. However, from that moment on, she had been pestered by this annoying person. Moreover, the first thing he said when he saw her was, "Little Shui, you're going to take care of me in the future?" This sentence had caused Lung Ruoxue to be dumbfounded, while the demon's face immediately darkened. Furthermore, the only thought in her mind at that moment was, "This fellow is indeed a pretty boy." But soon after, Jiang Ning explained with a smile, "Little Shui, because of you, I didn't even give face to the Yao clan's patriarch. The other 2 vice presidents of our Alchemist Guild's headquarters have also been occupied by you, causing me to be as tired as a dead dog in the Alchemist Guild's headquarters. So, you have to compensate me, understand?" Jiang Ning's following words left Lung Ruoxue in a state of confusion. What is this? What did she mean by the other 2 vice presidents have been occupied by her? What did she take from them? They were the ones who refused to leave, all right? How did she become the one hogging it and not letting go? Lung Ruoxue's heart was filled with resentment. The more she thought about it, the more aggrieved she felt. The evil creature's cold aura became even more intense because of Jiang Ning's words. However, Jiang Ning was very good at comforting people. Before the evil creature exploded, he suppressed his anger in time. Chapter 23:14. The chain reaction triggered by the bounty, too. "Don't worry," Jiang Ning said. "I'm just letting little Shui take care of my herbs. I won't fight with you for her." Regarding this, Jiang Ning was very tactful. The evildoer's anger subsided a little after hearing what he said. However, he still warned, "Then you should be careful with what you say. Don't let others misunderstand." This was the silent acknowledgement of Jiang Ning's existence. When Lung Ruoxue heard the demon's words, she really wanted to just faint. She didn't know, since when did the evildoer become so easy to talk to? However, when Jiang Ning heard the demon's words, he was very happy. He even nodded his head to show that he understood. However, other than the fact that he didn't know how to say anything that would make one's imagination run wild, the little Shui that he had called out with a drawn-out voice was like a buzzing fly. It kept echoing in her ears every day. As such, whenever Lung Ruoxue heard these 3 words and heard Jiang Ning's voice, she would get goosebumps all over her body. It's too nauseating, isn't it? Just like now, Lung Ruoxue was covered in goosebumps. However, Jiang Ning was not aware of it. Instead, he felt good about himself and thought that he was acting cute in front of Lung Ruoxue. Of course, there was a possibility that he was doing this on purpose. Other than in front of Lung Ruoxue, Jiang Ning was very normal. This was especially true when Jiang Ning was fully focused on refining pills. He was more serious than ever before. As a result, everyone was more than happy to watch Jiang Ning play around when they had nothing to do. Although they would often get goosebumps, they couldn't deny that Jiang Ning had entertained them. As for Lung Ruoxue's depressed and helpless expression, it was something they loved deeply. Hee. Don't blame them for their lack of moral integrity. It was rare to see Lung Ruoxue's reaction. Furthermore, Jiang Ning always had his way, and it was Lung Ruoxue's fault for wanting to get rid of him quickly. This time was no exception. After Jiang Ning obtained the dragon's beard grass, the news was quickly spread to Lung Ruoxue and the others. Lung Ruoxue and the rest continued their previous conversation. Originally, everyone was discussing how the people of the divine realm would react after their side issued the reward. It should be known that the bounty issued in Lung Ruoxue's name had already been 2 days, and with the speed at which news spread in the firmament, that bounty should be known by everyone by now. The reactions of various parties would soon be gathered in their hands. Hence, they had to think of a way to deal with it in advance, in case of an emergency. However, the truth was just as Lung Ruoxue and the rest had expected. Once Lung Ruoxue's reward was announced, it quickly spread throughout the entire god world with an irresistible force. In an instant, the entire divine realm was in an uproar. Thanks, the reward was full of emotion, with pictures and the truth. It was highly realistic. After Lung Ruoxue made the video public, she did not make any subjective comments on it. Instead, she let the people of the firmament make their own judgments. However, Lung Ruoxue had made it very clear in the reward that she was the disciple of the previous divine lord, Lord Yu. It was only natural for a disciple to avenge her master. Hence, she would never let off the person who had killed her master. As for the person who had killed their master, even a fool wouldn't know who she was referring to. However, many factions did not think that Lung Ruoxue had the ability to fight against the Divine Lord's residence. Hence, a large number of people felt that Lung Ruoxue was overestimating her own abilities. However, it was undeniable that the rewards on Lung Ruoxue's wanted list were too attractive. The rewards were more than 10 times higher than the reward offered by the Divine Lord's manor. There were also countless treasures that were hard to find and couldn't be sold even if you had the money. For a time, many people were tempted. Unfortunately, though they were tempted, the various factions were all well aware that they could not accept this bounty. Only those who had killed God Lord Mist Ripple had the right to receive it, and in the entire Divine Realm, there was probably no one who had been able to kill God Lord Mist Ripple. As a result, the various factions were both depressed and at a loss as to what to do with this fat meat that they could see but not eat. However, this also proved one Thingling Ruoxue was extremely wealthy. Lung Ruoxue's nouveau riche-like behavior of showing off her wealth had also caused many people to secretly have ideas about her. Money moved people's hearts. To the people of the firmament, nothing was more attractive to them than heaven and earth treasures and top-grade crystals of various colors. Furthermore, Lung Ruoxue's conditions made them yearn for this wealth more than they could ever hope to obtain. As such, there would naturally be some ignorant people who would think of other ideas and take risks out of desperation. Hence, for a time, the various major factions had split into several different voices. Some people hoped to not provoke either of them. Whether it was the Divine Master's estate or Lung Ruoxue, they could not afford to offend either of them. Hence, they might as well act as if nothing had happened and do what they were supposed to do. Of course, most of those who had such thoughts had been to the Yao clan's divine territory and experienced the torture that Lung Ruoxue had arranged. The fear they had for Lung Ruoxue was not something that outsiders could understand. Hence, they naturally hoped to stay as far away from Lung Ruoxue as possible. They definitely did not want to take the initiative to give themselves up to her. However, they had obviously underestimated the huge attraction of Lung Ruoxue's bounty. The wealth on it was impossible not to be tempted. Hence, the disharmony and suicidal voices within the various large factions were no longer something they could control. Those who were envious of Lung Ruoxue's reward had already lost their rationality and treated Lung Ruoxue as a piece of fat meat that was at their fingertips. However, Lung Ruoxue's conditions were too harsh. In the entire firmament, there was almost no one who could fulfill them. Therefore, they could only use underhanded means to get their hands on those treasures. This underhanded method was nothing more than working together with Fog Ice to deal with Lung Ruoxue. After the matter was settled, they would naturally have a share of the items on Lung Ruoxue's bounty. In the immortal realm, there were definitely many people who had such thoughts. There were even many forces that had secretly sent people to the Divine Master's estate to negotiate with the Mist in order to gain the upper hand. Of course, other than those who had designs on Lung Ruoxue and those who did not want to get involved in the feud between Lung Ruoxue and Wu Jing, there were a small number of people who chose to observe and maintain a neutral stance for the time being. Their thoughts might seem very stable, but they had never thought that regardless of whether Lung Ruoxue or Fog Ripple won, would the two of them accept someone with an unclear position? However, at this moment, they felt that this was the best choice. In the Divine Master's palace in Fog City, sitting high on the throne, Wu Luan, dressed in red, looked at the reward placed in front of her. Her beautiful face was expressionless, but her heart was already raging with anger. Damn it! She didn't think that Lung Ruoxue would dare to reveal everything. Could it be that that wretched girl wasn't afraid that he would stake everything on her to kill her? Wu Jing was very confident that if she really wanted to get rid of Lung Ruoxue, even Song, who was by Lung Ruoxue's side, would not be able to save her. Chapter 23:15. The chain reaction triggered by the bounty. 3. This was because Wu Xiao knew that Song couldn't easily attack her, just like how she couldn't hurt Song. Unless it was absolutely necessary, the two of them wouldn't become mortal enemies. This point, even though Ripple Mist knew that Song was on Lung Ruoxue's side, she was still certain. Otherwise, she wouldn't have bided her time and tolerated Lung Ruoxue's existence. But now that Lung Ruoxue had revealed all her secrets, she felt that there was no longer a need for her to hold back. Otherwise, wouldn't those people from the God world think that she was easy to bully? After Lung Ruoxue revealed the truth, her reputation would be greatly affected. Although the people in the Divine Master's estate were still respectful to her, she knew what those people thought of her. She could even sense that Lung Ruoxue's bounty would definitely attract some old fogies who had not shown their faces for a long time. And those damned old fogies would naturally not be on her side. Thinking of this, Wu Yin was deeply conflicted. The hatred he had for Lung Ruoxue grew even deeper. That damned Lung Ruoxue. Why can't you just stay in the land of demons and live your life? Why do you have to go against me? The more Wu Jing thought about it, the more she hated it. In the end, her beautiful face was somewhat distorted. When a servant who had been serving her saw this, he was so scared that he trembled like a fallen leaf in the cold wind. With a glance from the corner of her eyes, she rebuked with a look of disdain, "Get down." Hearing this, the servant's face immediately turned pale, and he scrambled out of the hall. Wu Cheng's mood became even worse. At this moment, the anger in her heart and her hatred towards Lung Ruoxue had all gathered together. It was like a small river had turned into a vast ocean. She could not control it no matter what. While she hated Lung Ruoxue for opposing her, she had never thought about why Lung Ruoxue would do this. If she had not made the first move, how could Lung Ruoxue possibly have retaliated at this moment? After all, this wasn't the best time for Lung Ruoxue to face her head-on. Unfortunately, Wu Xin didn't think about these things at all. She was born a selfish person who only had herself in her heart. Naturally, she would do whatever was beneficial to her. At this moment, a black-clothed person strode into the hall. Only her most important confidant would dare to enter without any notice. As a result, when she saw the man in black, she actually revealed a rare smile. "How is it? What was the reaction of the beasts?" Without waiting for the man in black to speak, Wu Xiao asked impatiently, "Master, the magical beasts have yet to respond to Lung Ruoxue's bounty. However, according to what I know, the Phoenix King, the Dragon Emperor, and the Tiger King are also in a terrible fix. Furthermore, the opposition within their clans is getting stronger and stronger. I believe that at this moment, they are not in the mood to make a big reaction to Lung Ruoxue's bounty. However, I have already instructed our spies in those 3 clans to act according to the situation." The man in black said honestly, "Amen. It seems like this is the only way for now. All right, how are the reactions of the other forces in the divine realm?" Wu Jing asked again. "The other organizations are very interested in the items that Lung Ruoxue has offered as a reward, but don't worry, my lord. They don't have the life to get it. Hence, my lord doesn't have to worry about the existence of those small fries. What's more worrying is the 8 divine regions." The man in black said after some thought, "The patriarchs of the 8 divine regions aren't fools. They won't easily go against me." Wu Yin said confidently. When the man in black heard her words, he naturally did not refute her and said, "Since that's the case, there's no need to worry, master. Yes, as long as it's not Song, I'm not worried. However, I'm angry that the good reputation that I've accumulated over the years has been destroyed by Lung Ruoxue in one day." Thinking of this, the coldness in Wu Yan's beautiful eyes became even colder. However, the black-clothed man did not know how to answer this. At this moment, it seemed that keeping silent was the best choice. At this moment, an attendant's voice suddenly rang out from outside the hall. "My lord, a few forces have sent representatives to request an audience with you." Thanks what? When Wu Jing heard this, she raised her beautiful eyes and looked at the black-clothed man in front of her. Let them in. Usually, she would not meet these small characters, but today, she wanted to see where these people came from. Especially after Lung Ruoxue had set up that bounty, she was even more interested in the purpose of these people's visit. Soon, the representatives of the forces who came to see him were invited into the hall. Ripple Mist glanced at the flattered representatives and asked with a faint smile, "Is there something you want to see me for?" When the representatives heard this, their faces revealed a difficult expression. Originally, they had wanted to sneak in to see God, Lord Mist Ripple, but who knew that they would run into people from other factions? This made them feel even more awkward, as if their dirty thoughts had been exposed to outsiders. This made them feel extremely uncomfortable. It was a good thing that Lung Ruoxue did not know what they were thinking right now. Otherwise, she would definitely say that this was a typical example of someone who wanted to be a whore and wanted to have a good reputation at the same time. Since you dare to come, what else are you hiding from me? Or do you think that no one else will notice your little scheme? Did he really think that everyone else was a fool? As soon as Wu Xian saw the expressions of the people in front of her, she knew that what they were going to say seemed to be something shameful. However, as a god lord, he wouldn't give in to them. Thus, Wu Xiao impatiently said, "If you have something to say, just say it. I don't have that much time for you to be in a daze." As soon as they heard this, they immediately put away their embarrassed thoughts, and then said their intentions one by one. After saying it, everyone's expression calmed down. Who asked them to have a common purpose? When Wu Yin heard this, she also laughed happily and praised, "Don't worry, after we get rid of Lung Ruoxue, I will give you a portion of all her wealth." As for how much that portion was, it would be up to her to decide. When a few of them heard this, they immediately beamed with joy. Then they said goodbye to Ripple Mist and went back to report. After they left, the black-robed man next to Ripple Mist looked at her worriedly and said, "Master, are these people's words reliable? They wouldn't dare to lie to me. As the saying goes, men die for wealth, and birds die for food." They were interested in Lung Ruoxue's reward, but they were not confident in killing me. Naturally, they would join me. Ha ha! That wretched girl Lung Ruoxue would never have thought that her bounty would have the opposite effect. After saying these words, Wu Yan's depressed mood was swept away. She was naturally happy that these forces were tactful. Although these guys were just small shrimps, sometimes small shrimps could play a very important role. Lung Ruoxue would never have thought of that. The man in black echoed what she said, but for some reason, there was a trace of uncertainty in his heart. He kept feeling that they had overlooked something. In reality, how could Lung Ruoxue not know what kind of impact her bounty would have on the people of the god world? It was precisely because she knew that she had disregarded the worries of Uncle Long and the others and offered a huge reward. This was also a kind of test. She wanted to see how the people of the divine realm would react to such a high bounty. The reactions of those people would also determine her attitude towards them in the future. Hence, once the reward was announced, Lung Ruoxue was in the mood to watch a good show. In contrast, Uncle Long and the others were feeling much more heavy-hearted. They had lived in the divine realm for many years, so they were naturally very clear about the greed of some people in the divine realm. The high reward that Shui had given them would definitely drive some people into desperation. At that time, they would not only be causing trouble for the Mist Ripple, but also for themselves. As long as they thought of this, Uncle Long and the others would sigh continuously. Every time she heard someone sighing because of this, Lung Ruoxue would have to helplessly console them and tell them not to worry. However, her consoling didn't seem to have much effect. Uncle Long and the others continued to look at her with bitter eyes and pitiful looks. In the end, she could only pretend to ignore it. A few days later, Lung Ruoxue and the others, who were still in the Yao family's divine realm, received news from the various large factions one after another. Of course, these news were all sent by the little silver rats who were in charge of monitoring the large factions. The accuracy of the news was rather high. Lung Roashua wasn't surprised at all when she saw the news. In fact, she appeared rather calm. In the garden, Uncle Long and the others looked at Lung Roashua, who was sitting on the stone chair as if nothing had happened and drinking tea leisurely. Finally, they could not help but ask, "Schwer?" Although those forces are very interested in your bounty, they have sided with Rhymice. Don't you have any thoughts about this? They really wanted to know what Lung Roashua was thinking after she found out about this matter. However, it had been a few days since they received the news, and Lung Roashua had kept her mouth shut. No matter how much anticipation they used to look at this lass, she would play dumb as if she didn't understand what they meant. And Lung Roashua's reaction made them so anxious that they almost went crazy. Chapter 23:16. The Leopard Tribe Visits 1. When Lung Roashua heard this, she looked at Uncle Long and the rest, who were filled with anticipation. She said calmly, "What can I do even if I have an idea? I can't control the actions of those people. Everyone has their own aspirations. Before they take the initiative to provoke me, I can't make the first move to exterminate them, right? If that's the case, I'm afraid that my reputation as a devil in the divine realm will be solidified, and I might even incur the wrath of the divine realm. So, I can only swallow my anger and let them do as they please." These words made Lung Roashua's tone turn bitter. However, when Uncle Long and the others heard it, they felt, for a moment, they really wanted to impulsively tell Shue, should we kill all those people? As the saying goes, strike first and gain the upper hand. They couldn't let those jumping clowns hang around in front of their eyes all day long and add to their troubles, right? However, they quickly denied their thoughts. Lung Roashua's words sounded very resentful, but her expression was rather calm, as if she was talking about someone else's matters. As such, they naturally knew that Shue did not care about those minor characters at all. However, the more insignificant a person was, the more likely it was that he would ruin things. Hence, Uncle Long said to Lung Roashua in a serious tone, "Shue, although the small fish and shrimp outside can't be a big meal, they can still fill your stomach. So, I think you shouldn't dislike them. Otherwise, one day, because you ignored them, you might—" Uncle Long deliberately said only half his words because he believed that the smart girl Shue would understand his worries. "Uncle Long, don't worry. I know what to do. Actually, it's not that I'm not going to clean up the small fish and shrimp, but there's too little of them and not enough to fill my stomach. So, I'm thinking of waiting until I've collected more before fishing them all up together." Lung Roashua said with a smile after listening to Uncle Long. This is also good." Hearing this, Uncle Long was stunned for a moment before saying. However, Uncle Long couldn't help but feel a little depressed. Did they worry for nothing? Shue already had plans? They knew that this girl didn't need them to worry about her, but they just couldn't control themselves. Uncle Long and the others were relieved and did not mention this matter again after they continued to glare at Lung Roashua with hidden bitterness. However, there was one more thing that made them feel a little depressed. The reason they issued that reward was originally to cause trouble for the Fog Ripple. After all, they did not expect anyone from the divine realm to be able to kill the Fog Ripple. Who was Wuhan? Even the current god lords of the divine realm found it difficult to kill Fog Phoenix, let alone the other powers. However, when they thought about how the reward, which was clearly meant to make Fog Ripple uncomfortable, had instead caused trouble for them, their hearts clenched together in grievance. In reality, they were the ones who liked to be sentimental. The heartless Lung Roashua did not take this matter to heart at all. In her opinion, in the entire divine world, no one could be her opponent except for Wu Cheng. Even if all those forces joined forces, she could destroy one of them and two of them. She had this kind of confidence. This confidence of hers wasn't without restraint or reaching beyond her grasp, because she did have the strength to do so. Although her current strength was only at the level of a divine emperor, even if her opponent was a reverent god, she would definitely have the strength to fight. Unfortunately, he was too concerned. Thanks, Uncle Long and the others were so worried about her that they had forgotten about her strength. However, this was also because Uncle Long and the others cared about her. Therefore, she was very touched by their anxiety. However, Lung Ruoxue didn't want Uncle Long and the others to be so nervous and sigh all day long. Hence, she could only think of ways to find something for them to do. For example, she arranged for them to visit the Yao family. Why are we going to the Yao family? Hearing Lung Ruoxue ask them to go to the Yao family, Uncle Long and the rest were puzzled. That their relationship with the Yao family wasn't good enough for them to be able to move around as they pleased, right? Besides, if the head of the Yao family saw them now, wouldn't he want to eat them? In visiting, Lung Ruoxue repeated with a faint smile. We know that you're going to visit, but what we're asking is, why did you go to the Yao family to visit? Seeing that Lung Ruoxue was playing dumb, Uncle Long had no choice but to point out. No reason. Isn't it normal for us to stay in the Yao family's divine domain temporarily and build a good relationship with the Yao family head? So, please send my regards to him, and remember to tell him to take care of his health and not to work too hard. Oh, and tell him to come to me if he needs money. I'll arrange an easy and profitable job for him. Lung Ruoxue said matter-of-factly. However, when Uncle Long and the others heard this, they couldn't help but mutter to themselves. The Yao family head definitely wouldn't be willing to build a good relationship with them. As for asking him to take care of his health, it would probably be too much. It would be good if the old man didn't have a heart attack when he saw them. How could he take care of his body? Now, they were very suspicious. Was Shui really trying to get them to come to the Yao family to build a good relationship with them? It didn't look like it at all. Instead, it seemed like he was deliberately going to the old man's house to anger him. Oh! It had to be said that Uncle Long and the others were not completely mesmerized by Lung Ruoxue's words. Lung Ruoxue had asked them to visit her because, other than the fact that it was a bit of an exaggeration to build a good relationship with the other party, she still had other intentions. But more importantly, she wanted to test the Yao family's old man's attitude. Even though both Green Vessel and Tsung knew about the current situation of the Yao family, sending someone over would lower the Yao family head's guard and anger him at the same time. This way, the old man of the Yao family might be driven to desperation. Otherwise, the old man would have kept his eyes closed and not moved, which made her feel quite helpless. It should be known that it had been several days since her bounty was issued. Some of the small and medium powers had already taken action. The other 6 patriarchs of the 8 great divine regions had also visited her to express their goodwill. Although on the surface, they shouldn't be participating in the battle between her and Wu Yin, these patriarchs should stand on her side at the critical moment. Of course, she did not care even if they had sided with Rhymice. However, Lung Ruoxue believed that no one with a brain would be willing to make an enemy out of her just for the rewards on her bounty. He would not want to join forces with Wu Cheng. It was the wisest thing to be on good terms with her. After all, since she dared to show those items, how could she be afraid of being targeted? Among the 8 divine regions, only the Yao family, which had been lively all this time, didn't have any movements. Since the Yao family had not come to look for her or sent anyone to look for Rhyme, Lung Ruoxue felt that she could urge the old man from the Yao family to make his position clear. However, she naturally wouldn't personally visit him. Uncle Long and the others, who were sighing all day long, naturally became the best candidates. After that, Lung Ruoxue sent Uncle Long and the rest out of the house. He turned back to look at the tightly shut door. Uncle Long and the others were almost pushed out of the door. He was dumbfounded for a moment. Did Shui despise them? Whoa, all right, they should go to the Yao family. Chapter 23:17. The Leopard Tribe Visits 2. With that thought in mind, Dongfang Yu, Dongfang Lin, and the others walked toward the Yao family's main residence with Uncle Long in the lead. When they arrived at the Yao family's main residence, Uncle Long and the others walked straight into the Yao family's living room without anyone's notice. Then, they ordered the servants to serve tea and snacks and began to eat as if no one was around. The servants of the Yao family who were watching this scene from afar were angry and resentful at Uncle Long and the others' rudeness. But the impression that Uncle Long and the others had left on them when they came to the Yao family was too deep. As soon as the servants saw Uncle Long and the others, they immediately cowered. What else could he do? These people were getting more and more barbaric. If he didn't satisfy their requests, he would definitely be the one getting beaten up, because the Yao family's head butler, who had been beaten up last time, was still lying in bed. That was definitely an afterthought. At that time, he looked alive and kicking, but not long after, he couldn't make it. Everyone was afraid that they would end up like the Yao family's head butler, beaten to the point where they couldn't even take care of themselves. Therefore, they all put on an extremely obedient appearance. If they were told to go east, they would definitely not dare to go west. Suddenly, the servants saw a middle-aged man waving at them. After a few rounds of pushing, an unlucky man was pushed out and fell directly at the feet of the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man who was waving at them was Uncle Long. Uncle Long looked at the servant who had fallen in front of him with his limbs spread wide open, and his forehead was immediately covered with black lines. He smiled and teased, "No need to bow. I'm not your family's ancestor. What instructions does Senior have?" The servant couldn't smile at Uncle Long's words, nor was he in the mood to joke with him. Instead, he cried and choked. Of course, he knew that this person wasn't his ancestor, but he didn't want to fall in front of this person. Fuck, he was pushed out by others, all right? Even if he wanted to get up now, he couldn't move, because he was so scared that his legs were weak, and he couldn't use any strength at all. Orders? I just want to ask you, why hasn't your family head come yet? Could it be that he was not up yet? Or could it be that you overindulged yourself yesterday and can't get up today? Uncle Long asked curiously. "I'm coming." The servant didn't need to answer. A voice that spoke through gritted teeth was heard after Uncle Long's words. The person who spoke was the Yao family's head, who had arrived late. At this moment, the head of the Yao family had a sullen face and an extremely unwilling expression, as if he had been raped. Seeing him like this, Uncle Long couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Ha ha! Yao family head, why do you look like you're constipated? Did you not eat or sleep well these few days?" Uncle Long asked with a big laugh. "I've had a good rest." The Yao family head gritted his teeth so hard that they creaked. The anger in his heart was surging towards his heart. Originally, he wanted to explode, but after seeing the people sitting in the living room, he quieted down. Thanks fuck, there were at least 5 Reverend God-level experts in the living room. What was this? Apart from Dongfang Lin, who was slightly weaker, he probably wouldn't be able to defeat any of them. This fact infuriated the head of the Yao family, but the situation was more pressing than he could handle, so he had no choice but to swallow his anger. After taking a seat in his chair, the head of the Yao family suppressed his anger and asked, "Why have the few of you come to the Yao family?" "It's nothing. I just came to see you and chat with you," Uncle Long said with a smile. Chat? Chat my ass." The Yao family head didn't think that he had anything to say to these hateful fellows. If these people didn't come to anger him, he would be at ba. Why would he even bother to chat with him? Wasn't that a weasel paying a New Year's visit to a chicken? It had to be said that the head of the Yao family was very cautious of Uncle Long and the others. Moreover, although he hated these people, he knew that he had been very well behaved recently and had not provoked them. Therefore, he could not figure out the purpose of these people's visit. This also made him quite conflicted and deeply troubled him. We don't seem to know each other very well, so there shouldn't be anything to talk about, right? After thinking for a while, the head of the Yao family said very implicitly, "It doesn't matter if we're not familiar. We'll be familiar if we chat. Besides, I don't think we're not familiar with each other. I think we're all very familiar with each other." Uncle Long said nonchalantly. Dongfang Yu and the others couldn't help but twitch their lips when they heard this. "That Uncle Long, can you not be so mushy? It would cause a misunderstanding." Dongfang Yu and the others pleaded helplessly in their hearts. Unfortunately, Uncle Long couldn't hear their thoughts and continued to say, "Little Yao Yao, you already know about Shui Air's bounty, right? Are you interested in participating?" As long as you can get rid of rhyme ice, all those things will be yours. I'm sure your Yao family needs those treasures, right? Even a thick-skinned person like the head of the Yao family couldn't help but fall silent at this. His Yao family truly did need those things, but he did not have the ability to kill God, Lord Fog Ripple. He didn't have the guts to do so, so he didn't need to think about the reward. Originally, he could also choose to rely on rhyme ice like some small and medium-sized forces who are not afraid of death. However, as the head of the Yao family, one of the 8 great divine regions, no matter how low his character was, he still had his own pride. If he was not forced, how could he be willing to find himself a master? Wouldn't that be looking for trouble? He didn't want to act according to other people's mood. That was why the head of the Yao family had yet to make a move even after Lung Ruoxu's bounty was out. Furthermore, he no longer thought that Lung Ruoxue was a soft persimmon that anyone could squeeze as they pleased. With Song by that wretched girl's side to protect her, even God Lord Rhyme couldn't do anything to her, much less him, the head of the Yao family. With Song Do, he admitted that his body was not as hard as the walls of the God Lord's estate. Hence, he no longer dared to have any designs on Lung Ruoxue. However, this did not mean that he had learned his lesson. Once the right opportunity presented itself, he would be more than willing to throw stones at Lung Ruoxue when she was down. Of course, the prerequisite was that he had to have the opportunity. Just like now, Lung Ruoxue was going against the Divine Master's estate. This was a good opportunity for him. However, he wasn't stupid enough to clearly state which side he was on. If he did, he would be in a very passive position if he made the wrong choice. It had to be said that the head of the Yao family was very self-aware. He was also a cunning old fox. He knew that the current situation was unclear, so he naturally didn't want to make a choice now. In simple words, he was just waiting and watching. Now, he had a rough idea of the purpose of Uncle Long and the others' arrival. He knew it. These people definitely wouldn't come here without a reason. They must have come to see him, to rope him in. The head of the Yao family's mind was spinning as he thought to himself. Fortunately, Uncle Long didn't know what he was thinking. Otherwise, he would definitely scoff at him and tell him that he was thinking too much. Chapter 23:18. The Leopard Tribe Visits 3. But now, the head of the Yao family felt that he had already taken the initiative, so he deliberately muttered to himself for a long time before slowly opening his mouth. Uncle Long, to tell you the truth, am really interested in the reward on Miss Lung's bounty. However, I know very well that I have no fate with those things, and they are not something I can dream of. So, I can only look at the bounty. After the head of the Yao family finished speaking, a regretful expression appeared on his face to prove that he was truly regretful. However, Uncle Long didn't have much of a reaction to his words. Instead, he suggested with a faint smile, "You can also learn from other forces." What are you going to learn? The head of the Yao family asked in a daze. "Learn from them and join Rhyme Ice." Yao family head, the good things in my Shui heir's hands are definitely not just those on the bounty. Those things are just a drop in the ocean for her. So, as long as you join hands with Wu Yin and get rid of Shui, won't you be able to pick any of Shui heir's treasures? Uncle Long said in a light voice, as if he was talking about someone else's business. Dongfang Yu and the others were even more embarrassed. "Uncle Long, you're still coming? What are you doing now? You'll be satisfied if you provoke the Yao family head to stand on Rhyme Ice's side, won't you?" Dongfang Yu and the others broke out in a cold sweat for Uncle Long's idea. However, the head of the Yao family, who also heard this, broke out in a cold sweat and was frightened. At this moment, he was not thinking about how many treasures Lung Ruoxue had. Uncle Long was just testing him. That's right, he was testing him. She wanted to test if he would choose to be Lung Ruoxue's enemy because of the huge wealth in her hands. Actually, it would be a lie to say that he wasn't tempted by Lung Ruoxue's treasures. Many of the good things in Lung Ruoxue's hands were contributed by the Yao family. He had always felt the pain in his heart. Would he not want to back? However, it was not easy for him to put his thoughts into action. Sometimes, No matter how many natural treasures or top-grade crystals you had, what was the use of losing your life? He did not believe that he would be able to snatch those items back from Lung Ruoxu's hands without any injuries. Even if he was working with Wu Jing, he still did not think that robbing Lung Ruoxue would be an easy task. Somewhere in the bottom of his heart, he even had a different thought. He was afraid that Wu Xian would not be able to touch Lung Ruoxue easily. If that was the case, he couldn't join hands with Wu Yan. Otherwise, he would definitely be the one in trouble. At this moment, the head of the Yao family was extremely clear-headed and rational. Therefore, after sensing that Uncle Long was testing him, he quickly said, "I know my own limits. Our Yao family will not get involved in this matter." AI. That's such a pity. Uncle Long sighed when he heard this. Regret? What was there to regret? The head of the Yao family really wanted to ask, but he felt that he shouldn't be meddlesome. The most important thing was to find a way to quickly send away these pestilence gods. However, Uncle Long and the others didn't plan to leave at all. Instead, they really pulled the head of the Yao family to talk about other things. After a long time, the sky was getting dark, and Uncle Long and the others reluctantly left. Before they left, Uncle Long patted the Yao family's head on the shoulder and told him, "Little Yao Yao, he'll be back." Upon hearing this, the Yao family head's face immediately darkened, while the servants of the Yao family all turned pale. All of them had long faces, and they were all wailing in pain in their hearts. "Wu, why did you still come? Please don't come again." They couldn't afford to welcome him. However, Uncle Long didn't care about their reactions. He led the group of people and turned to leave. "Master," the servant sobbed as he watched Uncle Long and the others leave, his eyes full of pleading. "Don't let them come again." The head of the Yao family understood what he meant, but there was nothing he could do. "I've decided to go into seclusion. I won't see anyone who comes to find me in the future." After taking a few deep breaths, the head of the Yao family instructed his servant. After he finished speaking, the head of the Yao family directly left the dumbfounded servants behind and returned to his own residence. Only a few petrified servants were left on the scene. After Uncle Long and the others returned to their own residence, they were in a good mood. Before they could reach the garden, Uncle Long's voice was heard. "Shui, we're back." Thanks Lung Ruoxue, who was sitting in the garden, was speechless when she heard the noise. She knew that Uncle Long and the others had returned, so there was no need for them to emphasize their presence. While he was thinking about this, Uncle Long and the others had already arrived. "Uncle Long, didn't the Yao family ask you to stay for dinner?" Lung Ruoxue asked curiously when she saw that Uncle Long and the others had returned a little early. "No, I didn't. He can't wait for us to leave. Why would they ask us to stay for dinner?" Uncle Long said helplessly. "Yup, the Yao family's old man treated us like the plague and discreetly chased us away several times. However, we always pretended to be ignorant and sat in his living room shamelessly. After he left, he would probably cheer." Dongfang Lin added in a serious manner. When she heard this, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh. She had just heard from Yao Tsang that the head of the Yao family didn't cheer at all, but claimed that he was in seclusion. "By the way, Shui, I've asked the old man from the Yao family. He said that he won't join the Rimai sect." Uncle Long reported. "Oh." Lung Ruoxue nodded. Then, Tsang's words rang in her heart. After hearing it, Lung Ruoxue's face darkened even more. She had heard the conversation between Uncle Long and the head of the Yao family from Tsang and couldn't help but sigh. Uncle Long was really too powerful. "Uncle Long, since the Yao family didn't have much of a reaction to my bounty, let's pack up and return to the demonic land tomorrow." After some thought, Lung Ruoxue spoke again. Initially, she wanted to wait for the Yao family's reaction and see if there was a need to deal with them. Who knew that the Yao family head would actually be afraid and hide? Since that was the case, she could only return to the residence. When everyone heard this, they were leaving. They immediately couldn't help but cheer. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue felt even more helpless. It seemed like these guys had long wanted to go home. The next morning, Lung Ruoxue and the rest quietly left the Yao family's main city. However, When the Yao family found out that Lung Ruoxue and the rest had left, they had already left the Yao family's territory. The moment Lung Ruoxue and the rest left, the Yao family celebrated as if it was the new year. However, the head of the Yao family, who had long since entered closed-door cultivation, was completely unaware of this. Even if the elders of the Yao family wanted to inform him, they could not contact their own head, so they could only give up. When Lung Ruoxue and the rest were still in the Yao family's territory, their journey was relatively peaceful. However, once they left the Yao family's divine territory, they realized that the number of small fish and prawns that came to their deaths had increased. However, the small fries who came to die were obviously here to explore the way because these people were generally not strong and could not take a beating. Every time one of them came out, they would be able to clean up those people. However, as time passed, Lung Ruoxue and the rest would also feel depressed. If this happened once or twice, they wouldn't mind. However, when this happened more and more, and they had to deal with this kind of assault team every day, no one would be happy. Moreover, some of the attackers were actually beasts. This fact had completely enraged Lung Ruoxue. After a discussion, they decided that they couldn't let this continue. Therefore, when they encountered the attackers, they planned to spend some effort to get rid of the forces that those people were in. With this thought in mind, Lung Ruoxue and the rest naturally would not show any mercy to the small fry that came to cause trouble. The factions that they were in suffered an unprecedented blow. The entire foundation of their faction was completely uprooted from the firmament by Lung Ruoxue and the rest. When Lung Ruoxue and the rest were doing this, they did not hide it. Instead, they openly allowed the news to spread throughout the entire God world. However, there were too many people in the immortal realm, so they did not know how the rumors would spread. However, one thing was for sure. After Lung Ruoxue and the rest had massacred the people, Lung Ruoxue and the rest's reputation for being vicious and evil had become even more well-known. Of course, the Divine Master's estate had also contributed to this. For a time, the God world had mixed opinions about Lung Ruoxue. Those who supported her were naturally those who were closer to her. As for those who called her the greatest scourge of the divine world, they were basically incited by the god Lord Manor in secret. However, Lung Ruoxue wasn't someone who would care about what others said. Just like that, under the strange, shocked, and fearful gazes of the people from the god world, Lung Ruoxue and her group swaggered back to the land of demons. After staying in the land of demons for a long time, Lung Ruoxue and the others felt a sense of closeness to their home. The beasts in the land of demons were also very enthusiastic about Lung Ruoxue and the others' return. Furthermore, Lung Ruoxue was surprised to see the leopard clan's members among the crowd of beasties. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue was looking at him, the leopard clan leader's face turned red. Then he stood out from the crowd of beasties and said softly, "Little girl, we've moved here to settle down. You will not welcome us, will you?" The old leopard was a little worried. Now that the beast race and Lung Ruoxue were at loggerheads, what if this little girl didn't want to see them? "Of course you're welcome," Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. She did not let old leopard struggle for long. When she was at odds with the Divine Master's estate and the beast clan, old leopard was still willing to lead his clansmen to visit her. Of course, she was very happy. This was enough to show that their friendship had not been affected by the outside world in any way, and it also proved that she had a good eye for beasts. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.